unstoppable pre-workout rush formulated to crush muscle fatigue so you can push yourself harder and farther than ever before.
Our mind is a battlefield. It has to be the fight every day of our life. We can be stronger than current spaces. We can be braver than our fears. It's your choice, it's your hands. Stop believing yourself. Break through your obstacles and accept all challenges. We are all athletes running towards our goals, and we all deserve to win. How bad do you want success?
Every day is a competition between who you are and who you want to be. You set the standard time. Now push your gun. When you come to the competition, you conquer yourself.
King. King Jumpy Jumper. What are we doing with this, guys? Just interviews today? Stop running. Oh, Randy Curry's back. Oh, I don't know. He won? At the press conference? Yeah. Which one was he? The one on the left or right?
From the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, welcome to a special presentation of Joe Weider's 2018 Olympia Weekend. Dan Solomon, along with the Hall of Famer Sean Ray, and of course the beautiful and talented Amanda Latona. And guys, as we stand here in front of bodybuilding and fitness's most coveted and storied stage, we watch this venue here at the Orleans Arena fill up with all sorts of fans and celebrities and people who have come from around the world to witness history. And Sean Ray, I'm going to begin with you because you have very much been a part of history here in Las Vegas at the Olympia many, many times. This is an experience unlike any other.
Yeah, no doubt. This is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding for us. And of course, there's only been 13 champions in the 54-year history. And the question is going to be answered tonight. Will there be a 14th? And yesterday, that door was left open by the defending champion, Phil Heath.
And we're going to talk about the Mr. Olympia, the under 212 Olympia, and of course the Bikini Olympia. There's a lot to be settled. Amanda, you have competed in this contest 4 times. You know what these athletes are going through. You know what this is all about. Give the viewers at home sort of a sense for what the Olympia experience is like, because it's very different than just about any other event.
It's very different and it's very exciting. I mean, you wait all year just to get on this stage. No matter how you place, you just want to get here. But that's the thing. Things are kind of switched up because when bikini started in 2010, there were 24 girls, and now 2018, there's 34 girls, which shows not only how much the division has grown, but it also got to the point where now only top 10 2 routines. So also, bikini used to be a Friday-only show. It shows again how it's popular, where it's now become a 2-day event. Prejudging is Friday, finals are Saturday, which means that they put the bikini girls on tonight with the men's bodybuilding. Really cool, but again, only top 10 get to do the routine. So exciting to be a part on stage, but you want to be in that top 10. It makes it really exciting.
Well, every Olympia, Sean, is special, but there's something a little bit different. I remember back in 1991, Lee Haney came to the Olympia, won his 8th standout trophy, established a new record. In 2005, of course, Ronnie Coleman came to the Olympia on this very stage, and he won himself an 8th standout trophy, tying the record. Well, here we are in 2018, and there is a bodybuilder named Phil Heath who is here, and he is trying to stand shoulder to shoulder with both Haney and Coleman.
Well, he's a long ways from his first pro win in 2006, Dan, and I don't think anybody at that time thought that Phil Heath would go on a tear like this. He started off his first Olympia with a 4th place finish, and then he came back and got first runner-up to Jay Cutler, ultimately surpassing Jay and shutting the door on all the competitors. A couple of times, like Ronnie and like some of the other guys Dorian before him, he came in off, but he had enough goods to win. The question will remain tonight, can he pull that off and tie for record number 8?
Sean, what makes Phil Heath so special? We've watched this journey. It seems like every time he comes out, it's a slightly different version of his physique, but that's the truth with all champions. You were a little bit different every time. Jay was a little different every time. Ronnie, Dorian, so on and so forth. Kind of give some perspective as to what makes Phil one of the all-time greats and what makes him so different.
Well, he's in a different time era. I mean, in the 90s, and it seems like so far away, but when we talk about 1998, when Ronnie Coleman won, that was 20 years ago. With Phil, they call him the gift because he's genetically superior right now to the guys he's standing up next to. They've thrown a few guys at him. Sean Roden's got a sniff at 2nd place. Dexter Jackson. Last year we had Big Ramy. None of those guys had the tools to take him out, even when Phil was off. So he's gifted with some genetics that the other guys just don't have. So on an off day, Phil still has enough to simply win. The question will remain tonight that with Sean Roden's improvements of yesterday, from last year, Phil has left the door slightly open. There's not a whole lot more Phil can do with his frame. He's maxed out going for that number 8.
Well, Amanda, you know a thing or two about bodybuilding. Of course, you're married to an elite professional bodybuilder who's going to be competing on this stage tonight, Steve Kuklo. And give us a sense for what the fans are thinking. I know you talk to the fans, you read social media, you know what people are thinking. Is there an anticipation coming into tonight about the possibility that Phil could match the record, or even the other possibility that we could see the crowning of our 14th Olympia champion?
Well, I think there's both, Dan. You know, you always root for the underdog, and then as soon as the underdog becomes the champion, it's like you're almost waiting for the champion to be thrown. So it's really kind of both ways. You have those people that are like, Phil's the king, he'll win, but then you have the other people that are equally going, get rid of him, we want a new champ. So people are fickle. You know, it's almost like they're going to be supportive, and then as soon as you do one false step, it's like they're going to look, you know, they're again fickle. So we'll see what happens tonight. He's got half of the crowd cheering for him and half the crowd cheering against him, but the thing is the other half that are cheering against him are for Sean Roden, but they're also split between Rolly Winkler, they're split between Big Ramy, so they're kind of all over the place. So we'll see what happens tonight. The crowd's going to be crazy, double what it was last night, so it's exciting to see, and the energy, you can already feel it.
Sean, let's get into this real fast. Now, we came into this weekend looking at Mamdou Asbaye, Big Ramy as the leading contender, coming off his runner-up finish a year ago, rightfully so. And so he showed up. I want you to talk about what he brought and also what Sean Roden brought, because there is all sorts of talk throughout Las Vegas that Sean Roden has given Phil Heath just about all he can handle.
Yeah, it would have been a lot for Big Ramy to improve on what he brought last year. We saw the very best that Ramy had to offer up until that point of his career. This time he supersized it. Went for a little bit more mass than he probably should have and didn't have the detail to be in the hunt, especially against a guy like Sean Roden, who came in off last year. All Sean had to do was dry up a little bit, harden up, tighten up, and he had a full year to do that. And he pretty much felt like he was written off from a year ago. And he, with a renewed vigor, tightened up, dried up, did a few things differently, and he is here again like he was a couple years back fighting for the title. And he knows what it's like to take second. And Phil obviously knows what it's like to lose. He's lost a couple too, but once you've won the title as much as Phil has won, losing to someone like Sean Roden, he's not going to be happy with that. So I know that Phil's going to do everything in his power from yesterday to dry up, but I can tell you this is as close as it's going to get for Sean. He's a 40-plus bodybuilder. If he tightens up a little bit more from yesterday, it's going to be tough for Phil to hang on to that title.
Well, we're going to break down the entire lineup throughout the night. Of course, we're going to crown a Mr. Olympia champion, a Bikini Olympia champion, and we're also going to crown a 212 Olympia champion, which is a whole nother storyline in and of itself, as James Flex Lewis makes his way to Vegas this weekend looking for his 7th title, which of course he's already the most decorated 212 champion of all time. He announced coming into the weekend that this would be his final event in this division. We don't really know what he's going to do next. Give us your take on what he showed us last night as he looks to retain the title.
I mean, I think he did enough to win last night. He was a little better than he was last year. And again, they didn't throw a whole lot more new challenges at him. Ashkenani didn't deliver, especially in the lower leg department. He is being challenged by a couple of guys, and of course, Derek Lunsford has vastly improved. I think he's a little bit too young and immature to battle with James Flex Lewis, but I think his announcement for retiring from this division, I'm looking for him to move into the open, because if he's in the open division, he may be battling it out for the top 3. He certainly has enough to be in that lineup, especially condition-wise here tonight.
Now, on the bikini side, the Bikini Olympia, of course, Angelica Teixeira comes in as the defending champion. Pre-judging was held yesterday. Give us a quick sense of what we should look at in that event.
Well, you know, she's definitely top 2, because at prejudging yesterday, they basically pulled out her and one other girl. So at the end, they added a 3rd girl. So you almost know going in yesterday where your top 3 is. But of course, top 10 gets to perform. This lineup, not only has it grown in competitors, it's also grown in competition. It used to be where there was 24 girls, and maybe it's easy to clearly see a top 5, top 6. Now you really can't separate with, like with you guys talk. You know, a guy can have a weak back, or, you know, bodybuilding shows win by the back. A bikini girl isn't going to lose because she has bad calves or a bad back, you know, so it's really up in the air. It's depending on what the judges want to see, who brings that presentation. It's all about overall package with bikini and setting the tone for what the judges want to see for next year, and then that's how they'll choose their champions tonight. And it's going to be close. I got my eye on who I think, but again, it's top 2, basically what it comes down to.
Well, the bikini division has grown, as has pretty much anything that has to do with Olympia Weekend. It's become a very multifaceted, multi-layer weekend. Robin Chang and his team here at the Olympia have really created something extraordinary, and it's been such a thrill to be a part of this. Tonight is going to be historic, whichever way you slice it. We're either going to crown an Olympia champion, an 8-time Olympia champion for only the 3rd time, or Sean, we're going to crown a brand new champion. Any thoughts before we start the show?
Well, I saw Lee Haney roaming around. Totally, Lee Haney is here to witness history. I'm not so sure that he's cheering for anybody in particular. He's sharing that title and that resume with Ronnie Coleman. I don't know if there's room enough for 3, but Phil left the door wide open for that to not happen for him. But should he join that elite group, he's earned the right to be there.
All right, stick around. Our coverage from Las Vegas is just getting started here. 2018 Olympia Weekend. We're back after the break. Vegas, welcome to a special presentation of Joe Weider's Olympia Weekend. Dan Solomon along with Sean Ray, and we're about to begin what should be a very compelling night here in the world of bodybuilding, fitness, and physique and bikini competition. It is Olympia night, a weekend we have waited a while for. And Sean, I'm going to let you give us a sense for what's in store tonight as the 2018 Olympia Finals, the Saturday night event, is set to begin.
Well, Dan, it started back in 1965 when a crown and $1,000 prize money presented by Joe Weider went to Larry Scott, who will go on to win the 1966 Olympia as well. The Cuban, Sergio Oliva, had come in to win 3 from 67, 68, and 69. Then we saw the Austrian oak, Arnold Schwarzenegger, come all the way from Austria to win his first of what would be a 6-straight-year run to 1975, where his training partner in 76, Franco Columbu, would win his first of 2 Mr. Olympia titles. And then we saw the symmetry in Frank Zane. He would win 77, 78, and 79. Arnold would come out of retirement and win his 7th and final Olympia in 1980, and then in 1981, his training partner Franco Columbu would win his 2nd Sandow Trophy. And then in 1982, we saw the oldest Mr. Olympia, Chris Dickerson, at 43 years old, win his one and only title. And of course, the Lion from Lebanon in 1983 would be Samir Banu. Lee Haney would win his first Olympia in 1984 and rattle off 8 in a row, retiring in 1991. And in 92, Dorian Yates from England would win 6 in a row, retiring in 97. Then came Ronnie Coleman and rattled off 8 consecutive titles before he lost to Jay Cutler, who would win 4. And Dexter Jackson would squeeze off 1 victory. And then we came to the gift. He would win his first Olympia in 2010 and win the next 7 consecutive years, which brings us to tonight.
And you're looking at the scene backstage in the pump-up room as the guys get ready to take the stage and do their final tune-ups before they perform their routines. Our MC tonight, of course, will be Bob Ciccarello. He'll make his way to the podium momentarily, but they are filing in here in Las Vegas. This is the biggest night of the year in professional bodybuilding. History will be made one way or another. We will either crown a new Olympia, only the 14th in the contest history, or Phil Heath will retain the title and establish won't establish a new record, will equal the long-standing record of Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney. So a lot to talk about tonight. Of course, James Flex Lewis is here. He's trying to win the 212 title for the 7th time. Angelica Teixeira in the Bikini Olympia division is trying to repeat and defend her title. You're looking at Dexter Jackson. We call him the 8th wonder of the world, almost 49 years old, still in tremendous shape. He's here trying to secure another spot in the top 5 as he walks past Ruli Winkler, a guy who had a very impressive showing last night in the preliminary judging. And the great thing about Dexter Jackson, Sean, is he's always having a good time.
Listen, he knows he's in the twilight of his career, so he's soaking it all in. But with a body like that, he's still in the hunt. He's in the fight. He's one of the top bodybuilders in the world, still striving and surviving. These guys have come from all over, from the Czech Republic, Puerto Rico, United Kingdom, Canada, the Netherlands, as far away as Egypt, and of course with Ruli Winkler, Curacao. We've got plenty of guys representing the USA. This is an international competition, to be sure. There's Nathan Diash, who came all the way from England. He's starting to pick up steam, and we see the return of the King Snake. From Texas, Steve Kuklo is in the house.
Well, you know, it's really an epic night, and we're going to watch this thing play out as we set to begin the show. We're going to hear from, I'm told, American Media Chief Executive Officer David Pecker. He will step to the podium. I'm told there are some celebrities in the house tonight, so we'll try to point those out as we identify them. But we're going to go ahead and send it off to the stage as we begin the 2018 Mr. Olympia. Some things in bodybuilding, Sean Ray, never change, including the Olympia theme song, which of course echoes throughout the Orleans Arena each and every year at this time, and you can kind of feel the anticipation beginning to build.
Absolutely. In the absence of the late Joe Weider, along with his brother Ben, and in the presence of the new feature film, Bigger, Dan, watching their love story, the passion they had for bodybuilding, the origins of where it came from two poor guys growing up in Canada, $8, creating the Weider publishing machine, and then giving birth to the equipment and the supplement and the Olympia competition through the Mr. Universe champions and the American national champions. Here we are, some 54 years later, still doing the business in their absence. They have laid the groundwork for what we're about to share in this weekend.
Can't say enough about the stage set, the production value that Robin Chang and his team at American Media and the Olympia team have done to kind of continue to raise the bar. And we're going to let the show begin.
Weider's Olympia Fitness and Performance Weekend, presented by Midway Labs, webcast by iHerb and Muscle Farm. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem.
All right, they're going to bring out the MC momentarily, and right now backstage we're seeing some of these guys kind of put the final tune-ups on. They know what to expect. There's a different anticipation this year. There's a different energy. There's a different intensity. But first, we're going to hear from AMI CEO
Good
David Pecker.
evening, and welcome to the 54th Mr. Olympia. While I have many exciting things to tell you about tonight, unfortunately, we need to begin on a very sad note. Last November, Sean Perrine, the editorial director of Muscle and Fitness, Flex, and Muscle and Fitness Horrors, passed away at 51 years old. Sean was, without a doubt, the finest fitness journalist I have ever worked with and the voice of our sport. He was recognized by all as a leading authority on health, training, nutrition, and bodybuilding. His close friend, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, called him, and I quote, a fantastic ambassador for the fitness crusade, and went on to say, the world has lost an amazing force. I couldn't agree more. Sean was my colleague, my friend, and an inspiration to everyone who knew him. The industry will miss him. I will miss him. This is now my 16th year hosting Mr. Olympia, and I'm extremely proud of the growth we have achieved during this time. This year, we are introducing a major change to the Olympia judging, one I know you have been waiting for. Tonight, you will finally have a voice in choosing the next Mr. Olympia. Yes, yes. And for the first time ever, you will choose the people's champion. I want to personally thank my friend Jim Mannion, president of the Pro League, for helping me make this people's champion a reality. This year's Olympia is also truly special because for the first time, we hosted the IFBB Pro League Wheelchair Bodybuilding Championships. These inspirational athletes are true warriors who show the world what the power of a determined mind and the human spirit can accomplish. Let's give a great round of applause for this year's winner, Harold Kelly. Tonight, Phil Heath will attempt to win his 8th Sandow Trophy. Yes. Tying him with living legends Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman for the most Mr. Olympia titles won. Flex Lewis will be competing one last time for the 212-pound Mr. Olympia trophy. Yes, let's give it Flex. Flex has won this title every year since we introduced this event in 2012, and I know he wants to retire as a champion. This year's prize money will be the biggest in our sports history, with $1.4 million being awarded and distributed tonight. Thank you. This is a 250% increase since we acquired the Mr. Olympia competition 16 years ago. We are also hosting our second amateur competition at Olympia, giving 18 men and women the opportunity to earn IFBB Pro status. Now, I'd like to congratulate Friday night's winners. The new champion of fitness, Whitney Jones. Figure, second-year champion, Sydney Gillon. Classic physique, second-year champion, Brie Anzali. Let's give them all a great big round of applause. As you all know, Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, and their company, 7 Bucks, have been a presence at our event for the past 2 years. Unfortunately, DJ has a conflict and cannot join us tonight as he is filming his new movie. I know, I feel the same way. However, my friends, he sent all of you this very special video message.
Hey everybody, DJ here. First of all, I'm so sorry that I can't be with you there at the Olympia this year. I wanted to come. I'm here on set shooting Disney's Jungle Cruise, but I am there in spirit. So my spirit is in the room. My spirit is in the DNA of all the amazing athletes and competitors who are going to hit that stage. My spirit is inside of you. That sounds weirdly inappropriate, but you guys know what I'm saying. I want to wish the very best of luck to all the competitors. I know the time, the sacrifice, the discipline, the dedication that you guys have put in over the months and months preparing for this one night. I wish you all the very, very best of luck. I want to congratulate all of you who hear those very special words, and new. I also want to congratulate the ones who hear the very, very special words, and still. Again, I am there in spirit. And, you know, one of the greatest things about our world and our sport of bodybuilding is it never ends. You can always, always continue to get better and better and better and continue to push yourself to new heights. So, congratulations to all the Olympia competitors and congratulations to the champions. And above all else, most importantly, tonight, have fun.
Come on, let's give a great round of applause to DJ. I would like to thank Midway for being our main sponsors this year, especially the owners and the founder, Wilton and Catherine, as well as iHerb and Muscle Farm for helping us live stream tonight's event. Thank you, guys. I also want everyone to join me in a special thank you to the 800+ men and women here tonight who wear the uniform of our country and protect us all. God bless you all. Bob, let's get the show started.
All right, Dan, we're about to get this thing rocking and rolling. This is what everyone
I
decided
don't
to
care
come
how
to Vegas to see.
disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible.
It reminds me why I sacrifice. It reminds me what this title really means. It means that you're the king.
And always be the hardest workers in the room.
But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning.
When you become the right person, what you do is you start separating yourself from other people. You begin to have a certain uniqueness. As long as you're following other people, as long as you're being a copycat, you will never ever be the best copycat in the world. But you will be the best you could be. I'm challenging you to define your value.
That everybody won't see it. That everybody won't join you. That everybody won't have the vision. It's necessary to know that you are an uncommon breed. It's necessary that you align yourself with people and attract people into your business who are hungry, people who are unstoppable and unreasonable, people who are refusing to leave life just as it is and who want more. The people that are living their dream of finding winners to attach themselves to. The people that are living their dreams are the people that know that if it's going to happen, it's up to them.
If you want to be more successful, if you want to have and do stuff you ain't never done before, number two, I'm asking you to invest in you. To invest in you.
Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. That you don't have to go through life being a victim. And even though you face disappointments, you have to know within yourself that I can do this. Even if no one else sees it for me, I must see it for myself.
They say that life is always easier after you let yourself come undone. They say they'll give you whatever you want, and I'll be waiting in the shadow of the sun, seizing time where no one's been before. Close the curtains, what you're waiting for, and I'll be keeping secrets till I'm in the ground.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host for the evening, the voice of bodybuilding, Mr. Bob Ciccarillo.
All right, how we doing, Vegas? Man, it is great to be back. Welcome to the 2018 Olympia, the house that Joe built. The Fall Classic, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Let's just call it what it is, folks. The best of the best competing to see who truly is the best. And that's going to unfold right here on this stage tonight. I'd like to welcome, of course, our live audience here in Las Vegas and those joining us around the world, of course, via webcast on iHerb, our tag team combination. Calling the action in the back, of course, Dan Solomon, Hall of Famer Sugar Sean Ray, and Amanda Latona. Sure, they're going to do a great job, and of course, we are very proud to bring this worldwide. Folks, Joe Weider started this competition in 1965 to see who would be the best built man in the world. Tonight, we're going to see that take place. History will be made right here on this stage. Before we get any further, folks, I'd like to thank our CEO of AMI, Mr. David Pecker. A big welcome to our IFBB Pro League president, Mr. Jim Mannion. And for the first time in history, I'm told, the entire Mannion family is actually here at the Olympia. So Debbie, Tyler, Cassie, JM, welcome to your first Olympia. You can applaud that, that's all right. This show is sanctioned by the IFBB Professional League under the direction of our Pro League president, Mr. Jim Mannion. Our head judges for the event, Ms. Sandy Williamson and Mr. Steve Weinberger. You can applaud the judges too, they got a tough job. And for those that seen the pre-judging yesterday, you've seen how tough it's gonna be. Very close competition tonight, folks. So without any further ado, I'm gonna dedicate tonight's competition to our good friend Sean Perrine, my buddy Shauno. He's looking from upstairs, of course. And we're going to put on a great show. All right, folks, the athletes are lined up and ready. The judges seated and in place. Fans here at Olympia, are you ready? All right, this time, good warm up, good warm up. This time loud enough for Joe Weider to hear this up in that big gym in the sky. Fans here at the Olympia, are you ready? Then please welcome your first finalist from Curacao, the Beast, Ruli Winkler.
Here we go.
All right, we are underway. The finals of the 2018 Mr. Olympia. Our first competitor, Ruli Winkler, makes his way to the stage to mark the beginning of what we anticipate will be an epic night in bodybuilding history. Ruli Winkler used to compete more often. He only competed twice this year, and one of those a win at the Arnold, Australia. He landed in the top 6 here a year ago. Sean Ray, let's get a look at the 2018 version of Ruli Winkler.
Ruli has been on this slow incline with his career, winning over in Finland, winning over in Kuwait, winning over in Australia, and making a run for it here tonight. He's very cartoon character-like, Dan. You open the old magazines, you see the silhouette drawings. This is very caricaturing. It's like ridiculous in terms of the size of the arms and the width of the lats and the calves that even come up. Ruli, a steady work in progress. So much muscle here. Trademark twisting back shots, Dan. Does it a little bit differently than Arnold Schwarzenegger. He actually owns this type of pose. Others are copying that.
One of the most structurally unique bodybuilders this sport has ever seen. His shoulders wide, his arms massive, maybe the best arms this sport has potentially ever known. We'll leave that to you guys to debate, but he is remarkable. There was a time a couple years ago where he was just a bunch of different body parts. The physique really didn't flow. He went back to the drawing board, revisited his approach, has completely reinvented the way his physique flows, and now he finds himself here at the Olympia very much in the running for the title.
Well, he discovered the oxygen gym. I mean, he didn't start making these changes until he started making the pilgrimage out to Kuwait. He's dried out nicely. In the past, I've criticized him for holding too much water, and you'd see that water starting to come out as he posed. It would just start dripping, and the color would start to smear and smudge. He looked like a mess by the time he was done posing. You can see, Dan, he's dry, and he looks very polished.
Well, based on the prejudging, it looked like they had him very much in that top 3 or 4 group. We know the fans at home love Rolly Winkler, and so too do the fans here in the arena.
That's the best Rolly Winkler's ever looked on this stage in his career.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Flexitron Sean Roden.
When we arrived in Las Vegas, we did not know what we were going to get from Sean Roden. A year ago, he fell to 5th. He's been in the top 5 6 years in a row. He was a runner-up here in 2016. And based on the way the call-outs went and last night's prejudging, Sean Roden is very much a contender tonight. There are many bodybuilding fans who watch this show that feel that Sean Roden may have done enough to become the 14th winner of the Mr. Olympia.
Well, there's no question he improved vastly from a year ago. Sean Roden's first flush on the stage, Dan, we both called it that he was off, a little bit of watery. We understood later on that he had a broken jaw. This is a vastly improved physique. The obliques are in, he's tight and he's dry. The delts are just offsetting that physique. You can see the traps are hanging from his skinny neck. His traps actually make his neck look non-existent by comparison. But Sean is the best that Sean has been. And remember, this is a guy that's a former first-time runner-up in this contest. And I believe right now, he's better than he was when he got his first runner-up.
When prejudging ended last night, I asked you, Sean Ray, who you thought was in the lead coming out of prejudging. You told us you had Sean Roden ahead of Phil Heath. Of course, the night is still young. We still have protein routines. Half the contest will be scored tonight. It's still very much up in the air. But Sean Roden has made this contest far more interesting than a lot of people thought.
But Dan, it's a heavyweight fight, and a heavyweight fight goes 12 rounds. So if you fight the first 6 and win the first 6 rounds, and you're the champion, you may come back in those last 6 rounds, may even get a knockout. We cannot discount the fact that Phil Heath has also had time to dry out. But right now, there's nothing that Sean can do. Sean's about as dry as he's gonna get. You saw the intercostals. You see the peekaboo on the lower back. See a little bit on the glutes, the hamstrings. He's dry in all the right places. The question will remain, did the champion rise to the occasion?
The knock on Sean Roden, especially on a night like tonight, is that he brings just about everything to the stage you can bring, except energy. And it looks like he's trying to bring some of that right now. That's been a missing piece for Sean. He comes out, he usually poses very slowly, very cerebral. His transitions are very slow and almost accidental in a way. And here he goes, and he's trying to bring some energy, and I think that's a big way for him to establish himself here on this stage.
Absolutely. Personality and charisma in this performance arena will help him. What he hasn't brought to this stage, Dan, in the past also was the lower back, and that's where Phil could actually turn the tables on him. But you see the feathers in the quads when he flexes them. The one thing I don't like about Sean is when he relaxes his stomach in between, but look, he steps into the light and you can see the quads separate, the abs pop, the deltoids pop. Sean's ready.
There it is.
If he ever was going to be a threat, tonight's the night.
Sean Roden has made his case.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the United Kingdom, Nathan Diasha.
A better plan. I had some demons in my head. They want me dead every time that I think about a better life.
One of bodybuilding's rising stars from the UK, competing in his 3rd Olympia. You're looking at Nathan Diasha. He was 7th here a year ago. Of course, a former British champion, and very much climbing his way to the upper tier of this sport. Sean Ray, it looks like he has brought it once again.
Yeah, he's been a steady work in progress as well, and he's starting to peak at the right time. Again, Dan, this being a 2-day show, yesterday being prejudging, it really is about being critical, because at that stage we're breaking them down. This is the performance round where the athletes have an opportunity to display their charisma, their personality, but don't be fooled. The judges are also scoring the conditioning and the improvements from a day ago. But in this situation, we're analyzing the performance. And Nathan DeAshton is rising to the occasion. The stage, this atmosphere has been very big for him, and he has slowly started to ascend towards the top 6.
I will point out for those of you watching, there are 19 competitors in this Olympia lineup. They are only allowing the top 10 to perform their posing routines. So if you're looking for your favorite bodybuilder to pose, hopefully he landed in the top 10.
Yeah, and sometimes it's disappointing from the fans' point of view, but that's what the prejudging is about, Dan, which is why we're highly critical as they make their way through those rounds. We're picking them apart, looking for what they do not have, why they should not be there, and we get left with the best of what's left in the top 10. And then, of course, there could be only one champion. So these top 10 are the elite in the world. And right now, they're pulling out all the stops to validate their existence on this Olympia performance stage.
And also to validate their bank account, because there's a lot of money up for grabs. Of course, the $400,000 first place prize.
Absolutely. You get rewarded for the hard work. Nathan is rising to the occasion.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Brandon Curry.
If I die and go to heaven, well, I'm up to do them one day.
5'8", 252 pounds by way of Tennessee. Former USA overall champion, Dan, trains out in Kuwait at the Oxygen gyms as well.
From the moment he arrived on the pro scene, we knew Brandon Curry was going to be special. He had all the tools to be one of the greats. We've talked about that every time he walks out. He had a big year last year. He won twice, and then he finished 8th here a year ago, and he's trying to prove on that. And then based on the call-outs from last night, he looks like he's right around that. He may have taken one more step forward.
Yeah, again, and if he does take a step forward, he may be battling out with the legend in Dexter Jackson. He had an opportunity to stand next to each other. And with Brandon being as young as he is and as big as he is, he's holding his own next to the former champion. He is a perennial top 10 finisher. He's won over in Brazil, the Arnold Classic Championships. And he's also won the Arnold Classics over in Australia.
Sean, there's no shortage of muscle on this frame. What's the thing that's holding Brandon back from getting him into the top 5 tonight?
You'll notice he's got a little bit thicker skin than some of the other bodybuilders. He's darker skin, but it's a little bit thicker. And at 5'8", carrying 252 pounds, he's right there with Kevin Levrone. Kevin Levrone got another 1.5 inches on this guy when you start to compare and contrast the physiques. But the skin is a little bit thick. The one thing about Brandon Curry is he is continually improving, and it pays off for him to go over to Kuwait and do the business of bodybuilding. But I don't think he can get any bigger at 5'8". He's right where he needs to be. He's just got to try to rip up the skin just a little bit more and thin it out. The hamstrings can use a little bit more meat on the bone. But his shoulder to waist differential and the width and the thickness on his back is nothing short of amazing for where he came from. All the while raising 4 children. Married an IFB Pro Bikini competitor in Miss Brandy Curry by way of Hawaii. Got a lot on his plate.
What we learned last night from watching prejudging is that this lineup is stacked. There are no soft spots. Even when we got down to those 3rd and 4th callouts, we saw the quality really at all phases of this competition. Brandon Curry does not appear right now to be projecting as a top 4 or 5 guy at this point.
I've got a top 8, and that's respect for Brandon.
Absolutely.
He belongs in that top 8 for sure.
A great bodybuilder.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA.
This is where they warm up, Dan, before they hit the main stage.
Dexter Jackson.
We're watching backstage on the monitors as well.
Well, here he is, the world's most decorated bodybuilder. He turns 49 in November. 28 professional wins to his credit, Sean, more than anyone in the history of the sport. And of course, one of those victories came 10 years ago tonight when he was crowned the 12th man to win the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, he's the new modern-day Albert Beckles of the sport. I remember when I guest posed there. Actually, I won in 1985 in Australia. Albert Beckles got second to the great Lee Haney in '85, and he was 46 years old at that time. And he went on to compete well into the 90s, Albert Beckles did. Of course, there's another guy by the name of Vince Taylor who walked off with 5 Masters Olympia titles. Dexter is not slowing down by any means. He also said he's got no plan for retirement. This is who he is. It's what he does. Win, lose, or draw.
And he's not slowing down. He was runner-up earlier this year at the Arnold Classic, and we've often described him as the 8th wonder of the world because it's remarkable what he's able to deliver year in and year out consistently. You competed against him, he's still doing it, and you haven't been competing for a long time. So
he competed against Ronnie Coleman and Kevin Levrone and Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier and myself. We're all retired. It's amazing he's still there.
As things change, Dexter is the one constant. But now I'm going to ask you to put your critical hat on and tell us why this might be the first time in a long time that Dexter may not be in that top 5.
It's not for lack of trying. Dexter is battling Father Time, not necessarily the competitors. You see the thickening of the waist. He's got a little bit of water. The lower back doesn't show the Blades trademark thin lower back. And that happens when you age. It's just something that you can't knock him for. He continually trains hard in the gym. His deltoids, world class. He's got a great structure. But when that structure starts to get diluted because of age, the skin doesn't thin out like it should. The waist has a tendency to thicken because you've got to eat all these calories. You're doing heavy lifting. It starts to change the dynamic of the look. The hamstrings start to fade and the legs start to fade a little bit. But he definitely still has a few more gas in his tank.
My heart is ready for love and to be loved. And I choose
First Olympia, Dan, was 1999, right here in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay.
Man, and they love him, and more than love him, they respect him. I've been covering this sport for a couple decades, and it has been such a rare privilege to watch the way he handles himself, his approach to his preparation, how he handles his family and his fans, and just watching his workmanlike approach to the sport. He has respect for himself, he has respect for others, and I will say this over and over again. Dexter, it has been our privilege to watch you compete, and we hope you stick around for a few more years because he is extraordinary.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the Blade.
Help me congratulate Dexter Jackson on his 19th Mr. Olympia.
Nothing to be ashamed of there, Dan.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the USA, Cedric McMillan.
You want to get excited about looking at a beautiful physique. Pay attention to this man right here, standing 6'1", 280 pounds, serving the United States military, Cedric Big Mac McMillan. He's an artist.
There's no one quite like Cedric McMillan, last year's Arnold Classic champion, competing out in his 4th Mr. Olympia. And he clearly has a very different approach, a very different mental approach. He has different expectations for himself and has a different perspective than others. And we don't have all the time to talk about that now, but we'll watch his routine. But Cedric, the one thing that he is missing is a great Olympia showing. He's been as high as 7th. He's gotten there. He's gotten close. But Cedric seems to save his best for some other events.
Absolutely, but Cedric's personality is what you fall in love with. The body opens the door, but his personality is electrifying and magnetic. I don't know where to begin to try to criticize Cedric, with the exception that I believe he should have a Sandow trophy. He may not get one, but he will not be forgotten when he's done and in retirement, because what he brings to the sport is a lot more than just beauty and class.
when he poses, he literally has a conversation with the audience. There's a connection. There's a way that he goes about his body movements that are just very different, very unique. So let's just sit back, Sean, and watch Cedric McMillan's 2018 Olympia routine.
Funny, Dan, some of the guys when they pose, they forget the audience is there. But Cedric is very aware and very interactive with his audience, which makes him a very popular personality and guest poser around the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Steve Kuklo.
All right, here's your 2011 NPC USA overall champ. He's won 4 times on the pro circuit. And Sean Ray's back here on the Olympia stage for the 5th time.
Look at those numbers, 5'11", 270 pounds. Kuklo, he's actually dieted down to that body weight. He's got the size of an NFL lineman, but he's got the structure and the body of an Olympian. It's amazing what he's done with his physique in the short amount of time that he's done it.
And once again, if you are posing now, that means you are in the top 10. So that's great news for Steve Kuklo and fans of Steve, because it's a good showing for Steve to show up here at the Olympia and secure a spot in the top 10.
Well, he's realistic too. He's like, I'm not going to win this. I'm not going to be top 6, but you know what? I can give them hell. I can give them a run. And you get into the top 6, you just eliminated half the lineup. So kudos to the King Snake by way of Texas. Kuklo, he's got a lot of irons in the fire. He's a very busy guy. He's very popular. And of course, he's got a pro wife, Amanda Latona, our co-host. I mean, that's a distraction in and of itself, but yet he's able to get in shape for these competitions.
So what you're saying is Steve wins either way.
He's the winner.
He gets to go home with Amanda Latona.
Winning.
No doubt.
He's a former overall USA champion, Dan. Earned his pro card right here in Las Vegas. Seems like a lifetime ago. Gone on to win over in California and in Texas at the Europa Championships as well. He also, Dan, won out in Brazil. He's a former Arnold Classic champion winner out there. I forgot to mention that. And actually was called to duty the same night he won on our flight home from Brazil, trying to save a passenger's life. Fireman by trade. Professional bodybuilder by profession. He's one of the few guys out there, Dan, that has his entire family that cheers him on. He's got an army of followers out there in Texas. What he's missing here, Dan, is the back, a little bit of thickness, a little bit more thin skin. Again, we talked about the water retention, which doesn't make him as competitive in terms of being the top 6 threat. Dials it in a little bit more, maybe gets a little bit more detailed, it'll be more competitive. But he's got the structure, the nice V shape, big billowing quads, nice calves. Everything's there, just got to get the conditioning.
Steve Kuklo.
Guys are backstage. Of course, the 212 guys are also starting to warm up. We'll be looking at the bikini competitors a bit later on in the program, and I'm told William Bonac has moved into that position in the backstage area, where he will soon enter the stage, which is what he is doing, and we're going to get our first look tonight at William Bonac.
William Bonac, Dan, a year ago was 3rd place by way of the Netherlands. He can't be but 5'5", maybe 5'6" on a good day, but he's very thickly, heavily muscled, reminiscent of a former Bertil Fox.
One of the best bodybuilders in the world. He finished 5th here in 2016, then he climbed to the top 3 a year ago. There were some people felt that this guy has all the tools, and even last year made a case to actually win himself an Olympia title. He followed that up by winning this year's Arnold Classic. You are looking at one of the very best bodybuilders on the planet, and we arrived here in Las Vegas this weekend feeling like if anybody was going to knock off the champion, there was a list of 2 or 3 guys, and William Bonac's name was certainly on it.
He's obviously established himself as one of the guys not only to beat, but also to challenge. He's a slow progress to where he needs to be in there, and he is now one of those guys you can commonly talk about as a threat to the title. A little bit too heavy for me, for my liking, but he does look significantly improved from last night, as do probably most of the guys.
He's working with super trainer Neil Hill, who also works with Flex Lewis. Neil Hill has established himself as one of the preeminent trainers in this business, and what he's done with William Bonac over the last couple of years is extremely impressive, and William has a tremendous presence on that stage. Strong, thunderous posing music, part for part. He kind of stacks up with just about anybody, but as you mentioned, not quite as crisp as he was last year.
And that's the only thing that may be knocking him down, Dan, in my opinion. His quads are massive. His calves, if you look at them independently, are massive. You cannot put any more muscle on this frame. Unfortunately, being as small as he is, he looks short when he poses. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger said the same about Franco Columbo. You have to pose like a big guy. And unfortunately right now, William still kind of poses a little bit small. I would love to see him extend just a little bit more, but this guy has all the goods to challenge in any show. The muscle is there. That's a classic William Bonac shot. Crowd obviously likes what he's putting out there, which is what the night show is about. They're not just hitting the mandatory poses, they're hitting poses that accentuate what they like as bodybuilders, and they can interact and show their personality as he is doing now, pacing back and forth across the stage, showing his fans on both sides what he's brought to Las Vegas, and they're appreciating what he's showing. Much improved from 24 hours ago, William
Bonac. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Egypt, Mamdoa Big Ramy Elsbaye.
Sean Ray, bodybuilding is a sport of all different shapes and sizes, and there is perhaps no shape or no size like the man we are looking at right now, Mamdoa Elsbaye. They call him Big Ramy for extremely obvious reasons, and we're going to sit back and watch the posing routine of the man who was the runner-up at last year's Olympia.
Just remember me. I am the one star that keeps burning so brightly.
Clearly tighter than 24 hours ago, Dan. You can see he dried up in the hamstring, glute department. You see a few more details that we didn't see 24 hours ago, which is what we were talking about last night.
And it's one of the things that makes the Olympia unique. Of course, the Friday night prejudging, 24 hours later, the Saturday night finals. It gives these guys a chance to tweak and tighten up and make improvements. Or in the case of the guys who peak on Friday night, they have to do everything they can to hold it together. And that's why these placings can change as the night goes. Big Ramy, of course, was the guy that a lot of people were looking at as the top contender to take out Phil Heath. And based on what we saw last night, it looked like that might not be going that way. As you mentioned, the physique does look better tonight.
The feathers in the quads give it away. The splits in the pecs, the abs are tighter, the back is tight. Everything is tighter, which magnifies the physique even more. Unfortunately, first impressions sometimes set the tone for what's going to ultimately happen. And if last night he doesn't resonate more tonight, the judges will stick with what they saw last night.
Well, and it's not even just first impressions. Those scores for last night have already been logged into the system. So the damage that was done last night doesn't just go away.
Yes, absolutely.
He's going to have to be that good tonight to overcome what went down 24 hours ago. This is a very impressive bodybuilder. Big Ramy is exceptional and clearly much better, and I think that's great for this contest because I'm looking forward to seeing Big Ramy and Phil Heath stand side by side.
Absolutely,
once
Dan.
again.
I'm looking at him like he was last year. This is the Ramy we saw when he got first runner-up a year ago. He's not far off the mark. And the improvements, the graininess in there, the improvements are vast. I would like to have seen him change the music up to more up-tempo at this stage of his posing because he's starting to get excited, and the fans are as well.
Sean, if this Big Ramy that we're looking at right now had walked out last night, this would be a very different contest right now.
We would be using different adjectives for sure. As we try to get into the minds of the judges, sometimes we try to think like they might, but as an independent thinker watching this, you see the Christmas tree come in. That wasn't there 24 hours ago. You see the glutes, the striations. Those were not there 24 hours ago, along with the feathers in the quad. We're looking at a different bodybuilder, which makes it more competitive tonight. Now I'm curious to see what he looks like standing next to the rest of the field. Can't sleep on this guy. He's still dangerous.
One of the biggest, one of the best, one of the most popular bodybuilders in all the world, Big Ramy.
Great guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the USA, your 7-time reigning and defending Olympia champion, the Gift, Phil Heath.
There was one.
See, 'cause you've never been the same as anyone else. Don't think the same as anyone else.
All right, Dan Solomon along with Sean Ray, you are watching the #1 bodybuilder in the world perform here at the 2018 Olympia. Made his pro debut 12 years ago. 5 years after that, he became Mr. Olympia. He turns 39 this year. He's attempting, of course, to equal the all-time record set by both Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman. Last year, he dealt with all sorts of issues, some injuries. He promised to come back this year better. He promised to come back here and make history. And Sean Ray, I'm going to let you get this posing routine started by giving us a take on what we're looking at right here from the 7-time champion.
You're seeing why they call the guy the Gift. His side chest is world class, and now he's turning to the back, which is what he will even admit wins him competitions from time to time. It definitely saved him last year standing next to Big Ramy. You see the glutes, you see the hamstrings, and now we get up to the back double bicep. And usually by comparison, this is where Phil rises to the occasion.
Well, Phil Heath and his trainer, Hani Rambod, are known for mastering the art of those 24 hours. They have a history of being able to tweak and tighten and improve over the course of those 24 hours. So the question is, has he done what he needed to do coming off of last night where he did get some criticism?
Well, by himself, he clearly has dried up. It's when he stands next to the other guys, we're gonna find out how much. But right now, you see the split in the biceps, you see the feather on the hamstring, the separation, striations. Phil is dried up nicely. You cannot determine whether it's enough until he's standing next to the other lineup. Again, he doesn't have very many weaknesses.
This is very much a business trip for Phil Heath. He knows what's at stake. He knows there's plenty of people that would like to see him go down. When you get to the top, those are the realities. And he is here. He has done the work. I caught up with him the other night. He has laser focus. He and Hani Rambod have worked extremely hard to get to this place, and he is on the doorstep of history.
Well, when you talk about history, Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney, you cannot not talk about someone like Phil Heath, who may join that company. But again, the midsection is what I'm drawn to. In between the poses, he's got to maintain a nice, tight midsection, because that's where Sean Roden will close the gap. He may shut the door on him when it turns to the rear double bicep, but when it comes around to that front abdominal and thigh, that's where Sean Roden is right there waiting for Phil. So this is going to be a battle of comparisons in terms of what they look like standing next to each other.
And for Phil, he's a different kind of champion. He's also a champion in the era of social media. It's been a whole different set of circumstances over the course of his run, and he's been very willing to put his opinions out there, very willing to respond to detractors. But here he is tonight in Las Vegas at the Orleans Arena doing everything he can, scratching, clawing, and fighting his way to the finish line, because he's looking to do something that only 2 men in the history of the sport have ever accomplished.
Phil will always be in that conversation, tied with Arnold Schwarzenegger with 7. I'm not a big fan of the non-routine in the routine round. I would have much more appreciated Phil doing an orchestrated routine. But nonetheless, he hit all the Phil Heath signature poses, and he's dried up nicely. Now we come to the payoff, and they start with the comparisons. I'm looking forward to what we're about to see.
All right, as you see backstage, the scenery starting to change just a bit as the bikini girls come out and get themselves ready to take the stage to compete for the title of 2018 Bikini Olympia champion. Of course, Angelica Teixeira, the defending champion, and she will try to retain her titles. But as you can see by this look backstage, she will be hotly contested. And Sean Ray, I think hotly is the operative word here. And we're going to go ahead and send it back to the stage.
All right, well, that was a nice sneak peek of things to come. But right now, we're going to be looking at the guys that did not make the top 10 of the 54th Joe Weider Mr. Olympia Finals.
And I want everybody at home to look closely at the quality
from the USA,
on that stage right now. These are the guys, as Sean said, who did not make the top 10, and there are some damn good bodybuilders up there.
Dan, these guys have to win a show to get here or compete in enough shows to garner enough points to get here, and some of them for the very first time, and this is a victory for them just standing on that stage.
From the USA, Charles Griffin.
They're all competing with history, having Phil in that lineup, and Dexter, the Blade Jackson.
From the USA, Josh Wade. From the USA, Big Diesel Juan. And from the USA, Sergio Oliva Jr. How about a big hand, folks, for our 9 non-top 10 finishers?
All right, our coverage from Las Vegas Olympia Weekend continues. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Things are about to get interesting.
To vote and put in order who you want to be this year's Mr. Olympia. Making history every single time we're out here, folks. We hope you guys enjoy it this time. It's a great opportunity for the fans to get involved. Who do you think's going to win, folks?
All right, welcome back, everybody. Our coverage here from the Orleans Arena continues. And, Bob Ciccarello is polling the crowd to see what they think is going to play out here on the Olympia stage. Of course, the fans in attendance will have an opportunity to participate in the judging, and we're going to go ahead and send it back out.
One last chance for the judges to get a look at our competitors. Gentlemen, come on out. All right, let's bring out our top 10 on the diagonals. Remember, folks, this is being judged live right now, so be as loud as you want and try to help the judges out with their decision. All right, our gentleman in place. Let's send it down to the judges. Big Steve.
Thank you, Bob. Rowley, William, Phil and Sean.
So the all-important first call out here, Steve Weinberger asks Ruli Winkler, William Bonac, Phil Heath and Sean Roden to come out and as part of a
Bill and Williams
four-man call-out. Perhaps most notable here is
Sean and Rollins
that Big
switch.
Ramy is not included in this call-out, and of course the fans here in the building and all of you watching at home have been waiting to see Sean
Rolling
Roden
Williams switch.
stand side by side with the champion Phil Heath, and make no bones about it, not only are these two gentlemen competing against each other, Phil and Sean, they are not exactly
Gentlemen,
best friends. They have had a
quarterback.
rivalry, and that rivalry has very much come to fruition here as the comparison round will
Quarter
dictate
turn right.
who is going to be crowned the 2018 Mr. Olympia. It is a compelling and somewhat stunning turn of developments or turn of events that Sean Roden finds himself in a position to compete for the title of 2018 Mr. Olympia. But we're going to watch these guys go through their quarter turns and get a better sense for how they compare 24 hours after we saw them last.
Front double bicep.
Well, there it is. There's the front double bicep comparison, Sean Ray.
Front lat spread.
These guys are going through it pose by pose, and this is a close competition. William Bonac, of course, on one side, Ruli Winkler on the other. There is a lot to be decided right now.
That front lat spread, Sean Roden is all over it right now.
Side
this is the
chest.
shot that Phil typically could pull off. Sean Roden is holding his own, and this is another one of Sean Roden's good shots. It's a great shot for Phil, good shot for Sean, but he's in better condition than a year ago. Phil's got better arms in this pose, but man, Sean has closed the gap on
Back
that pose.
double bicep.
See, that's a pose where Phil's going to win. Now, these back shots at one time were dominated by Phil Heath with that insane detail and separation and those lines, that three-dimensional muscle. It's going to be interesting to see how it looks tonight as he and Roden are compared.
Well, again, the knock on Sean is the lower back. That's what hurts him. He doesn't have the thickness or the quality muscle that Phil has, but you can't help but notice he's holding his own, especially in the lower half. It's only one
Back
pose.
lat spread.
But you're right, Phil used to run away with that shot. Sean's getting a little bit more points from me because he's so much more improved, whereas Phil not so much.
Who wins that shot?
Arguably, I'm going to stay with Phil because Sean doesn't have the meat on the bone
Side
that we talked about
tricep.
earlier that Phil has.
That middle back thickness really puts Phil over the top in that shot, but it is getting closer and closer.
And then, of course, the bookends with William and Rolly. We want to see them next to each other because the fight's in the middle right now. And I like Sean Roden on this shot here. Phil's midsection doesn't seem to come down enough on the side tricep. And you can't help but notice the tiny waist on the Sean Roden.
Abdominals and thighs.
And the abdominal wall. Phil's breathing heavy through his abdominals, but he should be breathing heavy through his chest. And here's Roden throwing down the challenge.
Let's go, guys. Knock it off.
Steve Weinberger was not tolerating the gamesmanship on that stage, instructing Sean Roden to knock it off as they go into their ab and thigh shot. And somebody told me earlier that this is a shot that could help decide this contest.
Absolutely it is, and the abs are going to
Your
Sean
favorite,
Roden.
most muscular. Hit the pose.
Phil's breathing hard, but he's breathing through his stomach, and it's not a good look. Of course, Rolly Winkler wins this pose.
The Ruli Winkler, most muscular, straight out of a comic book. Exceptional pose down, or exceptional comparison round between four great bodybuilders who have very much brought it this year.
There's a lot of aggression because there's a lot at stake. History is at stake. Forget about the $400,000.
Ramy,
but there's history at stake
Cedric,
here.
Dexter, Brandon, and Nathan.
Everything is at stake. Someone's life can change forever.
Absolutely. It's almost like, American Idol, for example.
That's right.
And you could say this is the best of what's left, but man, this is even interesting here, Dan. because we have a former Olympia in Dexter Jackson in here. We got
Brandon and
Brandon
Steve
Curry,
Switch.
who's come up a long way. And of course, Cedric McMillan is in this line. This is a very tough lineup. Look at Rami a year ago was not in this. And he finds himself in a
Nathan
very
and Steve
precarious
Switch.
situation being compared with these guys.
This is an incredible second call out. There have been first call outs at Arnold Classics that aren't as good as this second call out.
Absolutely. And this is the fight for 5th and 6th, which
Brandon
has
and Dexter
huge ramifications in terms of what a bodybuilder can ask in guest appearances. It's a domino effect for the balance of the year. So you want to fight for this 5th and 6th place spot just as if it were 1st and 2nd.
It's a lot at stake. A lot of people ask,
Gentlemen,
what's the best
spread out
contest? Why the Olympia is the
and
best
hit a front
contest?
double bicep.
The Olympia is the best contest because of this second call out. This is an extraordinary, high-level caliber of athletes in this call out. Big Rami in a second call out, the way he's looking tonight, you know, it makes you scratch your head a little bit. I'm actually surprised they didn't pull him back into that first group.
Every one of those guys, with the exception of Nathan Diasha, has an Arnold Classic title at home on their mantle, on their fireplace. Steve's got one from Brazil. Brandon's got two, one from Australia and Brazil. Big Rami's got one over in Spain. Dexter's got 9 from all over
Side
the world.
chest.
And of course, Cedric McMillan a year ago was the Arnold Classic champion in Ohio. With the exception of Phil not being in this call out, Dan, this is like could be any pro show anywhere in the world.
Well, I've seen Dexter Jackson at almost 49 years old going pose to pose for pose with these giants, with these
Give yourself some room.
top group of bodybuilders. It's incredible, and it shouldn't get lost in any of this. And of course, Cedric McMillan is still putting on a show for these guys, and just a tremendous thing. And also seeing Steve Kuklo in this group. Steve Kuklo brought it, and he's also a crowd favorite. And just there's so much happening. And Nathan Diasha, I know Nathan wanted better. He came here looking to get into the top 5, and he's got a chance to compete for that spot, as you just mentioned, because to reiterate what you just mentioned, the 5th place finisher has punched his ticket. Is that correct, Sean?
I believe so.
To next year's Olympia.
Absolutely, you're in the top 5, and you're back here. But again, these guys aren't going to settle. Most of them compete throughout the year, with the exception of Big Rami. All these guys, I mean, Dexter's one of the most, he competes more than anybody. The majority of these guys will probably go on to the tour. This show's coming up after
Dominoes
this,
and thighs.
including the Czech Republic. Here's your abdominal
So
thigh.
what's the advice to Big Rami? Obviously, this is disappointing. He came here to win this contest. He's going to go back to the drawing board. What does he need to do coming out of this contest?
It's not a simple fix, Dan. I mean, you can say the same about Dexter. The same thing about Cedric. Cedric was 7th or 8th place a year ago. It is what it is. You're competing against guys that have a tendency to peak at the right time. Some of it's not about body parts. Some of it's just about peaking on the day, and a lot comes with getting ready for the Olympia in terms of managing finances, managing relationships, jobs, and other careers. These guys have nothing to be ashamed of. It's a long and winding road to this Olympia stage. But I believe we're going to get one more look, Dan, at those top 4, or at least the top 2.
Phil, Rolly, William, and Sean.
Here we go. I'd like to see William and Rolly next to each other in this call out.
Well, it's the same call out that we saw about 5 minutes ago. Rolly Winkler,
Rolly and William switch.
William Bonac, Phil Heath, and Sean Roden. He's going to make
William
these guys
Sean
work.
switch.
Steve Weinberger, the head judge, takes great pride about making
Gentlemen,
sure
give yourselves room.
all the scenarios
Sean, where you going?
are covered and all the boxes are checked.
But the problem is the call out's the same.
Spread out. When I say pose,
To get a good look, we got to compare William and Rolly.
front double bicep.
They have to stand next to each other to establish 3rd or 4th
All right,
place.
Sean Ray, let's do this. Phil Heath versus Sean Roden, front double bicep.
Roden wins this pose.
William Bonac and Rolly Winkler, very formidable as well. We move into the front lat spread. Sean Roden or Phil Heath?
Sean Roden is winning this pose.
So right now, according to you, Sean Ray, Sean Roden is up 2 poses to none. As they go through the compulsory, Steve Weinberger turns them to the side. They'll go into a side chest. and I'm going to let you call this one as well.
Oh, man, that's Phil Heath's shot. His arms are too big, first off.
That's Phil Heath all day long.
But it could be a tie. I could call that a tie. Phil's arms are just big.
So we're going into the lat spread. These two gentlemen in the middle have the back double bicep, I'm sorry. They're going to go into the back double. And by the way, William Bonac delivers a terrific back double off on the left side.
I can tell you, maybe William might be winning that back shot.
Yes, sir.
Back spread.
Phil does have a pretty back double bicep. I can't take that away from him.
And what we're doing here is we are splitting hairs. I mean, we talk about Phil Heath. He is an extraordinary specimen, a remarkable bodybuilder. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to determine who's going to walk off with a Sandow Trophy. So that's the way we have to do it. Sean Ray to the lat spread. Compare them.
I'm going to go with Phil on that because the upper back is more grainy and separated, where Sean's a little more smooth. It's because he doesn't have that thickness to his upper back.
All right, so Sean Roden was warned about delaying between the poses.
That was on the abdominal shot.
On the abdominal
shot. He was just doing that for the thrill and excitement.
And of course, the midsection of Sean Roden is extraordinary this weekend.
Mind you, I like Sean Roden in this pose better, but it's the tricep we're looking at. Phil is killing him on the tricep itself. But the pose goes to Sean Roden.
The key for Sean Roden is to control the midsection. And when he controls it, he is spot on.
And the water is starting to come off of Phil, especially around the shoulders and the upper chest area. And this is obviously, for me, that's Sean Roden's pose. And I don't really like the way Phil is hitting that shot, but his arms are so big you can't get it behind his neck.
Are you seeing anything different about Phil Heath from a body language standpoint?
I absolutely do, because he's gasping for air right now, trying to breathe through his nose, but he's breathing through his stomach. So he's fighting for it, and that'll make you have to breathe for more air.
Sean Roden opts for the hands on the hips, most muscular. And of course, a very different look. They each play to their own strengths.
Notice the shine that's coming across the upper body of Phil. That's the water that's about to start coming out very shortly, whereas Sean is still dry as the bone. Phil's starting to gather a little bit of water down the middle of the pecs and up around his lower neck and around his shoulders. That's water that he's holding, whereas Sean does not have that. Notice he's keeping his thighs separated. Sean Roden is. Phil's got to be mindful to stay flexed throughout.
Of course, those big sweeping quads come in very handy for Phil Heath in that pose. It gives him an advantage. And now they're going to go into a side chest.
And as they continue to pose, Phil's starting to get shinier and shinier. It's not that someone's putting oil on him, that's water starting to come out. And sometimes you can get better, but he's got to rub that into his skin so that it doesn't look like it's just dripping out of it, especially on the back and the traps. You got to respect the fact that Steve Weinberger, the head judge, is making these guys work, but I'd like to see him switch it up so we can see William and Rolly stand next to each other.
Because that is the big battle. That battle for third place, a lot of money is on the line, and a spot in the top three means a lot here at this competition. Steve Weinberger asks for their favorite, most muscular, and potentially the final chance to make their claim. I don't know if they're going to continue this much longer.
The champion is the only one that's breaking a sweat up there, which tells me he's holding water.
Their styles are very different, Sean.
William Bonac is looking harder as he poses.
Thank you, gentlemen. Back in line.
This contest has not been decided as of right now, Dan. There's no way there's a clear-cut victory for Phil Heath at this point in time. But nothing like the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, having to make us wait to find out what this is going to do as far as the judges. All of them are very competitive. But what the heck, Rolly Winkler was amazing.
All right, we're going to switch gears right now. Anybody here for bikini? Yep, me too, me too. We've got 10 of the best in the world right here tonight, folks. So please welcome your first finalist from Argentina, Romina Basualdo.
All right, Dan Sullivan, I am now joined by former bikini sensation Amanda Latona. You've competed on this stage 4 times, and you're going to walk us through this thing and tell everyone at home exactly what we are looking at as we look at some of the most beautiful physiques in the world.
Absolutely. What's up, guys? Yeah, so this is a very, very exciting Bikini Olympia, as we talked about earlier. First one was in 2010 with 23 competitors, and now, or 24 competitors. And now we've switched into an amazing lineup of 34 women, but 10 of which will make the stage. Romania's a champion. She's absolutely beautiful. She's a nice, slow, graceful stage presence, and again, in bikini, stage presence does matter, much like everything else. You're looking for full package here. You're looking for beautiful skin tone, beautiful symmetry. Now she's moving her hair almost to the back, but she really doesn't have to, like other divisions, figure and fitness, where they're actually showing their back because they are judged on having a muscular back. In bikini, it's not like bodybuilding, Dan. They're not going to win a show if they have a great back or great calves. In bikini, it's overall package, it's poise, presentation, grace, looks, muscle, but not too much muscle. And I think she displays that great.
Well, there were 33 competitors in this year's Bikini Olympia. We are going to see the top 10 competitors as determined by yesterday's preliminary judging. The top 10 will make their way to the stage during this portion of the competition.
All right, now let's talk about Laura Lee. She's on stage right now, and she is entering the Olympia off of 3 back-to-back wins, the Tampa, Chicago, and the Toronto Pro, which are really amazing show. Now, I saw her pump up backstage, and I looked over by my shoulder, and I was like, well, look at her butt. No offense, Dan. I mean, I got to check those things out, too. You know what I mean? And she's a new pro, young, and she's actually looking to be top 2. Now, at the pre-judging, which was yesterday, her and Angelica, the reigning champion, got pulled out. And so she's looking to be top 2, and in my opinion, an absolutely beautiful representation of what the bikini division is about. It's beauty, it's poise. It's like take a Victoria's Secret girl and put some muscle on her. That's what Laura Lee is. Great opportunity to be a new champion.
Really credit to the NPC and Jim Mannion for cultivating this bikini division. It started out as a bit of an experiment, a trial run, and it has blossomed into one of the biggest attractions really in the competitive physique industry. The bikini division is extremely popular at all levels, at all the local NPC shows. So as it's become more popular, we're seeing the quality of the physiques when they get to the Olympia stage kind of reach a whole new level.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, it used to be where you would see the girls and you could pick a top 10 that was good. Now, the level of athletes and conditioning, it's absolutely amazing. And that's the thing. As this sport's grown now, 2018, again, starting in 2010, you'll see if you go back to pictures, just the difference as the athletes are more conditioned. Now, is it they have more muscle or is it that they're leaner? Because we all know the leaner you get, the more muscular you look. So it's, again, having that wonderful proportion of muscle, but not too much muscle. She has a beautiful amount. She has amazing glutes. She's actually one to look out for in the future. I like her physique. Okay. Now again, with bikini, it started off literally with just a front pose, back pose, turn around, front again. And it's transitioned into a little more of a routine where they do the walk on their own. Again, with the growth of the sport, it's turned into only a top 10 being allowed to present. In my opinion, Dan, I'd like to see it with a 20 to 25 competitor cap out. I think that would be better to have everyone on stage as opposed to so many competitors and only 10 to get to present. I mean, what's better? Getting to this stage and only getting to say, hey, or you know what, I didn't make it this year, but I'm going to shoot for next year.
Well, one of the challenges there is that the bikini division has become so popular, and all the promoters around the world, they love putting on bikini competitions because they are so popular. So we have that situation by the time we get here. There's a lot of athletes qualified. We're looking at a former champion, Ashley Coltwasser, one of the all-time greats in this division.
Right, Ashley was the first girl to ever win a Miss Bikini Olympia. Not only is it, well, she won it as a rookie, but she also won it 3 times in a row. Now she took a year off, and she came back this year after 3 wins. She's entering in this Olympia of 3 wins. Now when she won it in 2013, 14, and 15. In 2016, she dropped to 4th because, in my opinion, Dan, her conditioning was just off. Now she knew the way the division has progressed, she's had to bring that conditioning, which she had. And I was really interested to see how she was gonna fare up though on a bikini lineup, and it looks like she's out of the top 3.
Well, here is Janet Leog, one of the more popular bikini competitors. She has been referred to by many people, including myself, as one of the most beautiful women in the world.
I heard you say that earlier. Yeah, Dan.
She is extremely popular.
I agree.
The magazines love her, and she was actually a Miss Hooters at one point.
Yeah, you could say it. Hey.
Yeah. But she's an athlete, and she's actually married to a former Major League Baseball player. And
she's a mom. She's freaking awesome. I love Janet, and the reason why is when you think about the bikini division, think about someone that could be on the cover of a magazine. Think about someone that could be an amazing model, and that's what Janet is. She knows her angles, and what I like to say is, up there on bikini, every pose should be a photo. If you think about like a photographer's in the audience, that's a shot. That's a shot. So she knows her angles. She knows how to work her everything from her body, her face, the way she elevates her chin. Everything about her is a beautiful combination of sex appeal, but not being intimidating. You know what I mean? There's a difference between being sexy and a little raunchy, which we've seen on stage in former bikini Olympias. I'm not gonna lie, Dan. And she's an absolutely beautiful, stunning representation. Her physique this year has gone to a whole another level of conditioning. She deserves to be in a top spot.
Well, and these ladies are competing for a total of $77,000 in prize money, and of course, also an automatic qualification for next year's Olympia, but one after the next. Amanda, this is an exceptional class here at the 2018 Bikini Olympia.
And it's just going to get more exceptional because bikini opens the physique or the opportunity to just have an attainable physique. I mean, I started in bikini because I really couldn't get the muscle on me to be figure, even though I love muscle. So you always have to go with your body type. Are you comfortable on stage with the figure poses? You go figure. Are you comfortable with bikini? You got that sass in your flair? You got to do bikini. It's looking for glutes. You're looking for beautiful skin tone and symmetry. You want a nice fullness to your muscle. You don't want separation or graininess. Nice waist, and that's why these ladies are posing. Suit matters, hair matters. She's stunning in my opinion, and actually maybe the only blonde in the top 10, which I find interesting. Okay, well, speaking of blondes, it's kind of half blonde with some highlight. This is Elisa Bassini. She was actually my dark horse pick for a top win, potentially, or top 3. Now, when I think about bikini, I think about the first trophy that I ever got, and it was kind of exactly her physique. She has beautiful shoulders, small waist, which genetically you either have or you don't. You can't train for a waist. Y'all know that, ladies. It's just something that she has. She has an amazing work ethic, and her body is just so proportionate for a bikini. She also has looks, presentation, confidence, beauty. I liked her in a top 3.
And there's a big investment here, Amanda. We talked about this last night. You told us that they'll spend several $1,000s on these bikinis.
Heck yeah.
And of course,
and worth every penny, Dan. And worth every penny. And as you see, even her shoes have rhinestones. Like, that's the stuff that I noticed, is because it's those little things that these women put every single detail into. What color is their suit? What color is their lipstick? How is their eyeshadow? Everything needs to be beautiful and matched, but nothing needs to distract. So if you see the jewelry, compliments, but you don't want something on that's going to distract and you say, oh my gosh, what is she wearing? It has to all blend. And speaking of blend, Jen is an absolutely beautiful competitor. Now, she was second last year. It doesn't look like she's going to be in the top 3 this year. I'm sure she's a little disappointed with that. But again, you're coming into, with each year, bringing a whole new breed of amazing athletes. Each one of these ladies are champions. Each one. Jen is actually coming off a win last week. And she's walking in last week on stage. She just won. She's bringing that package, beauty, poise, presentation.
Amanda, what's usually the variable that separates one competitor in this division from the next? 'Cause when you look at it, obviously as a layman, myself, I look at these physiques,
right.
They all look so evenly matched. They're extraordinary. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they compare it. But give us your take on it. What's usually the factor that puts somebody over the top?
I think it's an it factor and a wow factor. And I think even I loved, other champions like Natalia Melo. She just had a fire on her that was an it factor you couldn't deny. And that's just something that with the bikini division, because they are, again, all such beautiful ladies, they have to be a full package. And for me, I like to look at these girls as who can represent the sport. Angelica's actually great when she does interviews because she translates, she speaks. She's looking to be top 1 or 2. She's beautiful.
And Angelica Teixeira is the #1 competitor because why?
Because she's full presentation, or she's a full package top to bottom. So she's got enough muscle without being overly muscular. She's got symmetry, she's got proportion, skin tone, beauty, hair, makeup, poise, presentation. Everything matters in bikini.
Based on what you saw in prejudging earlier, do you have her in the winner's circle?
It's a really close between her and Laura Lee. I'd be happy either way. It depends. Is a rookie going to come on and take a champion's title? They say you got to be better with the champ. It's really, really close, Dan.
Well, here she is, your reigning and defending champion, Angelica Teixeira, the final of the top 10. Once again, there were 33 competitors in this division. We're looking at 10. We will bring out the rest of the lineup shortly thereafter. But Angelica is making her case to remain on top of the bikini world.
And she's also the current bikini international champion, and she won that 2 times. So she's definitely a champion. I mean, are they going to mix it up because they want to see some different, ladies up there? Either one's a champion. Either one can win. Let's see what happens.
Stick around, guys. We're coming back. Back here at the Orleans Arena, things are starting to get interesting. We've already seen the posing routines of the Mr. Olympia. We've seen the comparisons and the compulsories in that round. We have moved into the bikini division where we just got to look at our top 10, and we will now bring out the rest of this year's bikini lineup.
Right, and when you look at these ladies, can you pick out champions? Yes,
Please welcome
yes,
from the
yes,
USA.
yes. Again, when bikini started, it was a one-day event, prejudging during the day, finals at night. Now for it to be a 2-day event, it's hard for these girls if they hadn't made a top 10. They were on prejudging yesterday. They had to wait all day till tonight to know that they were just going to be on here for a wave of the stage. Nonetheless, beautiful women.
From the USA,
Get it, girl.
From
OG Bikini, one of my favorites, Tana.
From Mexico, Eli Fernandez.
I like that they're taking the time to do a little step out, a little walk.
From Korea, Tim Hayo. From the USA, Karen Heine.
This part is so important. As we mentioned the other night, each and every one of these ladies has family and friends who made the trip to Vegas to watch them compete, so it's great that they get the opportunity to wave to the crowd and also be present for the photographers as well, so they get as much value out of this hard work as possible. And most of these competitors will have photo shoots scheduled tomorrow to sort of memorialize and chronicle their physiques and make sure that they land in publications around the world.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the goal. It's to be on stage. It's to build a fan base. It's who you're going to inspire. What's your, you can have someone that you just resonate with and they say, oh, that's the physique I like. That's the physique I like. And, with that's the goal here. You always think big picture.
Please welcome from the USA, Rita Martinez.
And as we see, this is still the remaining of the ladies that weren't in top 10. That just shows you how vast this competition is. Now, Dan, this is why they had to do a top 10 routine only. Imagine each one of these girls out there with a walk back. Not only is that long for everyone watching, it's actually long for the other competitors too. When you're up there on stage, you've got to stand there in their heels, you're tired, drop to water. It's a lot.
From Italy, Mariella Pellegrino. From the USA, Camille Perrier.
These ladies have won shows. These ladies, there's a qualification where first place gets you into the Olympia, and then there's also where you qualify by points. So that's something that they added to try to bring less competitors onto the stage. And in my opinion, there are actually now more competitors. Again, Dan, I like to see it to where there's either less shows or something to where the actual total number is in the 20 to 25 area, and all of these women then will have a chance to do a full routine and be on that
All right, folks,
stage,
time to get down
which is
to
what
business.
we're all
And
here
of
for.
course is our confirmation round of scoring. One last chance for the judges to get a look at our competitors. If I can have our top 10 lineup on stage, please.
Well, tens of thousands of bikini competitors compete at local events, in shows around the country and around the world. And in the end, it comes down to 10 as they make their way back to the stage. And head judge Sandy Williamson will call them out, put them through some comparisons, and we'll find out who is going to be crowned this year's champion.
ID number 17, Ashley. ID number 18, Janet. ID number 26, Lisa Passini. I need 29, Jennifer Ronziti. And I need 33, Angelica Teixeira.
I mean, and if you see, this top 6 is, in my opinion, the best of a bikini Olympia. Each one of these girls could be champion. I think you could switch it around. What are the judges looking for?
I need 18 and 33 to switch Janet and Angelica to switch.
Well, they move the defending champ in the center, the most important call out of the year.
And then I need 18 and 17
Laura
to
Lee,
switch. Janet. Yep.
Ashley.
And Ashley.
Janet, Elisa, Jennifer, and
Okay, ladies, you're going to
Angelica.
do a 180. Face that back wall.
And again, this is what the bikini division is about.
Now you're going to walk to that halfway back and hold it when you get there.
Walking it back. So the walk matters. You want to be nice as you see these ladies are walking to keep their glutes nice and tight. So again, is bikini one
And
from the
face
back?
forward and walk it back.
Well, there you go. There's your booties, y'all.
Okay, ladies, thank you very much. You can take a step back to either side. I need 2, Romina. 7, Jennifer. Marcia. Rafaela. Rafaela and Jennifer just switch right next to
And
each
Amanda,
other.
the way these comparisons and these call-outs work in the bikini, it's very different
Okay, ladies,
than
do
a
180
bodybuilding
face that
competition.
back wall.
Not as much comparison, not as much moving
Exactly.
around. And so it's harder to almost read
Now,
how
walk
the
halfway
contest
back
is
and hold it
going
when you get
in the
there.
bikini division because
Exactly.
the judges don't tip their hands as much as they do on the bodybuilding side.
Right, and you know, and actually I'm glad that the people are able to watch this live because
Face forward
a
and
lot
walk
of
it
times what
back.
happens is you go and you look back at a show and you look at pictures and you say, oh, well, she should have won or she should have won or you know, and you have to see the actual, not only this, but
Please,
I
thank
would
you very
love
much. You
to
can take a step
be able
back
to
either
see
side.
the
That
prejudging
includes the
because
confirmation
once
round.
it's
Back to
done,
you, Bob.
there's a different, the nerves are almost
All right,
gone
thank
once
you
you're
very
at the
much,
stage.
Sandy.
Prejudging is where it matters, and you need to see an actual presentation. If you line 5 girls up and you look at a photo, you're going to say each one of those girls is amazing. And it's going to actually see in person what did they bring that day, what was their confidence, how did they look as an ambassador of the sport. And that's what makes the difference of just seeing a lineup or an actual prejudging presentation, which was done yesterday.
Ladies, for the title, hold on.
I was gonna say, see, I've done that at show. We have our own show, I MC it, and I do a pose down.
So
He's joking, but it's awesome. I would have rocked that. I would have been already in a split and a moonwalk midway through. I don't know. I mean, you're on Olympia stage. You do, you got to do. You know, Dan.
This
you take
is
that time.
one of the most impressive collections of physical beauty you will see anywhere in the world. This final pose down here at the Olympia, and of course, to use the term pose down, it kind of takes on a
I know
meaning.
everyone just kind of. Huh?
All of a sudden, these are ladies that are trying to present themselves in the classiest possible way.
And again, and this pose down really doesn't matter. I mean, the judging right now is exactly. But that was really fun. At the time to kind of show your personality. I would have done a couple of hair flips, and it just got a little caught off guard. But again, it's fun for the fans. I mean, it's a one time a year, and I thought it was fun for Bob to go
Our top 5 for awards. Presenting the 5th place award. Representing Midway Labs is Vice President Catherine Colley. She will take the 5th place award, the check, for $5,000 and present it to Ashley Kaltwasser.
I was just going to say, I'm wondering if it's going to be Ashley Kaltwasser. Now, nothing's wrong with her physique, guys. I mean, she looks absolutely amazing. Did the time off hurt her? I'm not sure. Is it her? She brought the condition that she needed to sit with this lineup. She has an amazing body, amazing glutes. Is her presentation as poised as the other girls? That's something that maybe the judges were looking at.
Presenting the 4th place award is Ms. Nikola Wektorova, high-tech athlete and IFBB Bikini Pro. She's taken the 4th place award, the check for $7,000, and presented to
Feeling red.
Elisa Pacini.
You see this? I call this, Dan. That's why I wear the suit.
That's why you're the expert. So Alicia takes the 4th place medal and the check, just ahead of the 5th place finisher, Ashley Kaltwasser, as we move our way in to the top 3.
She's an amazing girl, gorgeous. Again, she's a rookie, so she's just excited to be here. I think she has a ton of potential. She's very young, 21 years old. So she's definitely going to be one to watch in the bikini division. She already is.
Once again, Catherine Colley. Please take the 3rd place award, the Olympia bronze medal. The check for $12,000 to our 3rd place finisher, Janet Lew.
And if you were watching pre-judging yesterday, we could kind of expect that Janet would be in that 3rd spot. Again, anything could happen tonight, but there were a top 2 that was pulled out yesterday with Janet added to the mix, so that would mean she was top 3. She really, really brought a physique this year that is actually, she's always had an amazing physique, but this year was just something different. When she walked on stage the first time, I said, oh my gosh, that's just Janet at her best. And to me, she's just a phenomenal representation of what the bikini division is, as are all of these top 10 ladies, especially top 5.
Of Muscle and Fitness Magazine.
I'm nervous, Dan.
Please take the 2nd place award, the Olympia silver medal, the check for $18,000, and presented to our runner-up this evening, Laura Lee Chapada.
Okay. So Laura Lee takes 2nd place, and a very impressive 2nd place. So she's a beautiful girl, tons of potential. Again, coming up with 3 wins, newer pro, and also 21 years old.
As we anticipate the announcement of the winner of the 2018 Bikini Olympia, it appears that we will have a successful defense of her title, with the formalities coming from Bob Ciccarello. Angelica Teixeira awaits her moment.
And absolutely, I mean, they say, how do you have to beat the champion? Did Angelica do anything to be off? No, you know what I mean? She's an absolutely beautiful girl. I love her overall look. It's kind of hitting her.
Please take the 1st place award, the Olympia gold medal, the check for $35,000, and the title of 2018 Bikini Olympia champion, to your winner, Angelica Teixeira.
Well, there it is. Angelica Teixeira has defended her title. She is the 2018 Miss Bikini Olympia, and for the second straight year, she will represent her division, her sport, as its #1 property, and really a great lady as you get to know her, and she's done a lot of good for this division, and she'll get to continue for at least the next 12 months to stand tall as its greatest competitor.
Absolutely. So now she's two-time Bikini Olympia, two-time Bikini International, so well-deserved, absolutely.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. Our action from Vegas continues after the break.
Oh, yeah.
And we are back at the Orleans Arena. We have just learned that Angelica Teixeira is once again the winner of the Miss Bikini Olympia. We're going to send it to the stage where Bob Ciccarello is standing by with our champion.
All right, here with our now two-time Olympia champion, Angelica Teixeira. Angelica, how was it defending the title this year?
Wow, defending the title was a little pressure, was different because I was fighting for this for so long. Then to get it was a dream coming reality, but to keep it, my dream alive, was a fight. This prep wasn't easy, but you know, like, this is what I love. This sport is what I am. So I did what it takes to be here today as the champion again.
Angelica, I'm guessing there's nothing that's going to keep you from defending this title again next year. We'll see you back here next year on the Olympia stage.
For sure, yes. I came to stay.
You got it. Give your pose, your new Bikini Olympia champion, Angelica Teixeira.
Here is Angelica Teixeira, your champion of the bikini division, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's happening backstage as the 212 competitors. There's
well, there you see CJ running around with the men.
There's your defending champion, Flex Lewis, and of course, a former champion, David Henry, as these guys get ready to take the stage to settle a score. The title of 212 Olympia is up for grabs. Flex Lewis, of course, trying to win the title for the 7th time, and if he's able to do that, he would be able to walk off into the 212 sunset, if you will, on his own terms. Based on the way prejudging went yesterday, it looks like he's in a pretty good position to do just that. But there were a couple competitors hot on his tail, and we're going to see how this thing plays out as they do their routines. I am told that the top 10 will be performing in just a few moments, but we're going to send it up to the stage to AMI CEO
We never
David
had
Peck.
a people's champion. And because of your voting tonight and your vote, this is our first people's champion, Rolly Winkler.
All right, well, we had a feeling it could go this way. Rolly Winkler has always been a very popular champion. He comes out with his warm-up pants on to take a break between this and later when the bigger stakes are determined. But at least now we know that in the eyes of the fans, this is a crowd favorite. They love his size, they love his personality, they love what he represents. He's a big, thickly muscled, freaky bodybuilder, and I say that in the most positive way possible. He brings something very different to the stage. They tried something new this year. They wanted to see who the fans liked. Now we know it's Rolly Winkler. The question is, do the judges agree? Let's hear from Rolly now.
What I can say is, wow! I'm a person with not a lot of words, but I'm made from the inside that I'm the champion of the. I don't have words. I'm so happy that I'm speechless.
has always been a champion of the people, and I guess now we know for sure.
What like I say is, you know, I'm not follow the media, but I know, I follow. I know that I have a lot of fans, and from the day to day, and my mother is with me. Is what she say is, that's mine. But mom, it's yours. Yeah.
Thanks, Riley. Thank you. All right, well, there he is, our first People's Champion here at the Olympia. It goes to Ruli Winkler. And as I just mentioned a moment ago, we will find out if the judging panel and the people agree, because it doesn't always play out that way, but Ruli can sleep well knowing that he has more fans in this building than apparently anybody else in this contest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking the stage. Are we ready? Please welcome your first competitor from
have fun
Kuwait,
tonight.
Ahmad Ashkanani.
All right, there were 19 competitors in this year's 212 competition. We're going to get a look at the top 10 here in the early going as Ahmad Ashkanani is announced. Ahmad Ashkanani, of course, from Kuwait, last year's runner-up. Sean Ray joins me to call the action as we learn who will win this year's top prize in the 212-pound division. And Sean, we're getting a look at Ahmad Ashkanani, who last night showed up in what we felt was not quite the condition he was in a year ago. Still very impressive nonetheless.
It's tough. It's not like he's coming from around the corner. He travels miles to get here and was carrying a little bit of water, dried up a little bit. Still needs a little bit more in the quads, but he's got a very nice, complete, compact package of muscle that garnered the Arnold Classic 212 titles. And pose a threat to all these competitors here.
Well, this division has become increasingly popular over the years. In fact, there was as much talk about Flex Lewis going for 7 as there was Phil Heath going for 8 coming into this competition. Some felt Flex Lewis was actually more vulnerable than Phil Heath, and I guess that's up for debate depending on how you see it. But Ahmad Ashkanani is a big reason why Flex Lewis has his work cut out for him as this contest goes.
They all take turns pushing each other, and with that back width, you can see why Flex Lewis drives harder and harder every year to try to hang on to that title, while guys like Ahmad Ashkanani will remain in the absence of Flex Lewis, as he has already announced his retirement from this 212 division. Can't help but wonder if Ahmad Ashkanani is not buying his time and licking his chops and maybe pacing himself, Dan, knowing that he doesn't have to beat James to one day be Olympia champion. James will take care of James, Flex Lewis, and Ahmad. He'll deal with the best of what's left. Very complete.
Ahmad Ashkanani. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Libya, Kamal El-Garni.
Now this guy, I really like, Dan.
Yeah, one of these stories of the weekend. Just displaying a remarkable level of condition, a remarkable physique, really just great lines, great overall flow and symmetry. Very much what this division was created for. And this is one of the guys who's going to be in the final call out as these guys are taken through their final turns once they get through the routines. But Sean Ray, Kamal has made a strong case for this year's title.
thighs are ripped up. He could use a little more sweep on the thighs, but he's in great condition. Held it from yesterday. The music makes you focus on what he's going to be transitioning into next. A little thin in certain areas, but his conditioning is what's got him in this fight here tonight. We have a tendency to see a little better conditioning on the 212 guys. They're not dealing with as much mass to rip up and shred up, but here we're looking at a guy that's done his best with what he has, and it will probably catapult him, I believe, into the top 3 of this competition tonight. Famous Joe Weider pose. Got a very appealing abdominal wall, Dan. You can see the separation when he hits his abs. The idea in bodybuilding when you're presenting your physique is when you flex the muscle, something's supposed to happen. You want to see some separation. You want to see something detailed and refined. And this is a guy that's bringing that quality, the glutes, the hamstrings, the lower back, and then he comes up to the deltoids. Things start to happen that aren't there when he's relaxed.
Well, and one of the underlying stories here is, as we watch this, knowing that this is Flex Lewis's final competition, is who is going to come out of this show as the man to beat or the contender to win the title next year when the throne is vacated. And Kamal, of course, making a case. We saw a strong showing from Derek Lunsford. Of course, Ahmad Ashkenani is somebody who we have high hopes for going forward. Hadi Choopan, who is not in this competition, another guy who has shown the ability to push Flex Lewis to the brink. So we have a few guys who have sort of established themselves. So as we watch these guys come out, you know, we can't help but wonder who's going to be that guy going into 2019.
Well, don't let it be lost, Dan, that they're all focusing on the retirement of Flex Lewis. I mean, you can't get beyond that. Next year's looking great. But this guy's setting the tone for us of things to come. And the other bodybuilders are going to have to pay attention to the conditioning factor. This is not a genetically gifted bodybuilder. He's in great shape with some nice body parts, and he's going to take out some guys that are actually genetically more gifted than him because of his conditioning.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Derek Lunsford.
Talk about the future of bodybuilding, Dan. Looks like it's starting to arrive right here, right now.
And I'm going to clarify something. I was actually just told that we are only going to have the top 5 routines here in this 212 division, not the top 10.
That's what they had last year as well.
Right. So far we've seen Ahmad Ashkenani, Kamel Argani, and Derek Lunsford make their way to the stage. And Derek Lunsford, of course, one of the real rising stars. You're looking at the 2017 NBC USA overall champion. He made his pro debut last year in Tampa. He won it. A couple months later, after he turned pro, he finished 4th right here at his first Olympia. A very impressive bodybuilder. Sean, we've talked about it. I actually caught up with him last night after prejudging. I looked him in the eye and I said, keep doing what you're doing, because the way I see it, this is a guy who is a future star. He already is a star, but he's a future presence and perhaps a future champion of this division, potentially as soon as next year.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just a matter of time. You keep pounding at it, you keep grinding at it, and those muscles, they start to mature, they start to separate. Look at the hamstrings and the glutes, Dan. Those are there. They'll get better with time, like fine wine. That back will start to thicken up a little bit. We'll start to see things a year from now that are not there today, and that will be a vacant title that he'll be chasing 1 year from this night. And we could be looking at the future of the 212 division right here in the form of this young man.
A big thanks to our friends over at Muscle Farm and iHerb.com for helping us present this event so that the entire world can watch it free of charge and take in the action. Those of you guys who weren't able to make the trip here to Vegas and we encourage you guys to do that. If you've never been to the Olympia, if you've never been a part of Olympia Weekend, plan it one year and come out here and take it all in. There's nothing like experiencing an Olympia firsthand. It's a tremendous experience. It's inspiring. It's entertaining. And for Derek Lunsford, it was a big weekend as he looks to have landed very much
Ladies and
in the
gentlemen,
top
from the
three.
USA, Jose Raymond.
All right, well, here he is, a crowd favorite. If there were a fan's choice in this division, Jose would be right in the mix. A 10th consecutive Olympia appearance. As I mentioned last night, he has competed in the Olympia. Every year he's been a pro. How about that? A runner-up in 2015. And tonight, as Bob Ciccarello mentioned, competing at the Olympia, or competing, period, actually, for the final time. So, Jose Raymond, we're going to watch your routine, and we salute you, my friend, because you have had yourself a very impressive career.
Very optimistic bodybuilder as well, Dan. This song is appropriate for his farewell routine by Journey, Don't Stop Believing. I got a lot of memories with this kid. Had the pleasure of having him as a guest poser at my show in Baltimore, and having him out in Hawaii as well. Very active in promoting the sport of bodybuilding.
Always has a ton of grainy, gnarly muscle. Very much a blue-collar, workman-like approach. He's great with the fans. He's great with the media. He's very well-liked. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to miss covering him, but I know he's going to stick around the sport. This stuff's in his blood. He loves this industry. He loves bodybuilding. He'll always be a bodybuilder. And I've just been proud to cover it and be a part of the ride with him, because Jose Raymond has always treated this sport the way it deserves to be treated. And Jose, we respect you and we appreciate all that you've given this sport, and I know the fans agree as well.
The Boston Mass. You've seen Jose better, but at the same time, even when he's off, he's still qualified in a very strong lineup, Dan, to make the finals of this event. Now he's letting us hear the farewell.
All right, there it is. He has spent decades flexing and performing in front of thousands the world over, and he has done so
Jose.
for the final time.
I am honored, friend, for a very good reason. Jose has decided to call it a career, folks. This is his last Olympia appearance after 10 years on the Olympia stage. So, Jose, we're going to get you out right. We're going to get you right in the center square, right here on the big stage, the Olympia stage. Jose, take your spot, and this crowd will rise to their feet and acknowledge 25 years in the bodybuilding industry and 10 right here on the Olympia stage. One of the greatest of all time, Jose Raymond.
A well-deserved salute by the crowd here at the Orleans Arena, and a great
Jose,
moment for Jose.
You have truly done it your way all these years.
Absolutely. This was very unexpected. Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the fans. Thank you to my wife. Thank you to Mr. Mannion. I can't thank you enough. All the judges, all the promoters, Steve Weinberger and Bev. You know, I don't always like what Steve does with me, but I respect it. He made me a better bodybuilder. For the last 20 years, he gave it to me straight. He didn't sugarcoat anything, and he made me my best. So thank you, Steve. Thank you to all the judges. Thank you to the fans. Thank you to everyone that believed in me. I may not have won the Olympia, but I'm an Olympian. Thank you, guys.
One of the best of all time, Jose Raymond.
It's tough to talk after you do all that hard dieting and posing, Dan, and then you just catch your breath and then be emotional.
And folks, one more competitor to go. He needs no introduction. He is from the United Kingdom, and he is your 6-time 212 Olympia champion, James Flex Lewis.
All right, Dan Solomon along with Sean Ray. We are watching the #1 bodybuilder on the planet, weighing 212 pounds on the nose. They call him the Welsh Dragon. He's won this event each of the last 6 years under the direction of super trainer Neil Hill. He is looking for title #7. He has told us this will be his final time competing in this division. And as I mentioned, there is no bodybuilder who weighs 212 pounds or less who has had more success than James Flex Lewis. And he is here for what he tells us is going to be the final time in this division.
Talk about a guy that has the true grit. Flex Lewis is unwavering in winning competitions, Dan. He's the first ever Arnold Classic 212 champion, former British champion, and of course he just killed it on this stage, and in every competition he's been in.
You know, Sean, I thought last year he managed to win not at his best. There were some problems. He had some issues with his prep in the final weeks. He managed to pull out the victory to keep his run alive. I was concerned for Flex coming into this contest. I wasn't sure how his body was going to respond. I wasn't even sure what the 2018 version of Flex Lewis is. I was concerned based on what we saw last year. There were some trends that I was not comfortable with, but he silenced those concerns right off the bat when he walked out here last night during preliminary judging, and he showed us exactly what he knew he could deliver, while some of us doubted he could do it.
Well, you'll notice those big billowing calves, those cow calves, and they're massive. He's brought the thigh separation back to the stage. Of course, from the back, this is where he has a tendency to separate himself from the pack. His peers have not gotten up to the thickness that he's got on his back, the delts, the tightness in the glutes.
And to be clear, one of the reasons Flex and his trainer Neil have suggested they're going to walk from this division is they feel like the division is now holding them back. He feels like his body wants to do more than what this division will allow. The idea of having to make weight has held him back, has limited some of his progress. So perhaps we'll get to see him in open competition in the years to come. I know he has some business interests, things that he wants to focus on. He's growing a family. He and his wife, Allie, have a beautiful little girl, and they have plans potentially to grow their family. So not only does he want to grow his physique, but he also wants to grow his family. And Sean Ray, this is not only one of the most popular champions, but he's one of the most admirable, noble, and fan-friendly champions this sport has ever known.
He's not done. I guarantee we're going to see him go for an open division competition, and he will probably pick up where he left off.
All right, folks, we've seen our top posing routines, and now we're going to introduce the rest of the class. Another great lineup here on the Olympia stage. Let's bring out the guys.
We are looking at your non-top 5 finishers, which brings, of course, with the withdrawal of Hadi Chopin, that was actually 18 athletes in the lineup. We saw 5, so we're going to look at the 13 who did not make the top 5. And Sean Ray, a real credit to this division, some quality athletes on this stage, and they're going to get to wave to the crowd as we move closer to the crowning of a 212 champion.
Well, these are the guys that validate the top 5. These top 5 guys have to rise above it. But they got to get through all of these guys that have all won competitions to earn the right to be here from around the world.
Costa Rica, Alex Pedronero. From the USA, the Giant Killer, Sean Clarita. From Cape Verde, Rude Boy, Ricardo Correa. From the USA, the Tank, Charles Dixon. From the USA, former Olympia champion, David
There's the
Henry.
guy that started off in the 212 Olympia back in 2008. Didn't make the top 5, Dan, but David Henry said he's not even close to retire.
Samir Rudy. From Switzerland, Nicholas Villieu.
Potential
And
written all
from
over these
Canada,
guys.
Zane Watson. All right, how about a big hand for our 212 lineup?
All right, well, there it is as we get our final look at the best of the rest, as they say. I want to give a shout out to our colleague and our friend Peter McGuff, who unfortunately wasn't able to make the trip to Las Vegas this year to help us cover the action. Peter's always a big part of what we do. So, Peter, I know you're dealing with that knee issue and couldn't get on the plane to make it out here to Las Vegas, but we're looking forward to hearing your perspective on this contest, because there's no one who does a better job of offering insight and perspective than you do. So, Peter, we're thinking about you here tonight.
Absolutely.
As we continue our coverage, I know the judges are using this as an opportunity to sort of gather their thoughts and get a sense for what they're going to do. They're going to bring the top 5 out. Steve Weinberger is going to put them through the motions, I think, one more time, I'd imagine, before we make the announcement of the top 5.
And you can see the camaraderie amongst these guys that didn't make the top 5. They realized what it took to get here, some for the very first time, and others maybe for the last time. But they're getting their moment in the sun here by having a big pose down for the fans. Congratulations to all these 212 guys. I championed this 212 division because they were disappearing, Dan, amongst the giants, so it makes me feel really good to see these guys up here on the main stage. This used to be held over in the Expo. Now they've arrived here at the big show.
All right, they're going to bring back out the top 5. Flex Lewis, Jose Raymond, Derek Lunsford, Kamal Agarni, and Ahmad Ashkenani.
Until the judges are scoring this live right now, so a lot on the line, do as loud as you want. Try to help the judges make their decision here tonight. Let's send it down to the judges. Big Steve.
Thank you, Bob. Flex in between Derek and Kamal. Kamal, stay there. Everyone spread out. Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn right. Quarter turn right.
All right, Sean Ray, as we go through these quarter turns, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit and see if you
And
can give
face
us
front.
some insight on how this thing might play out, as the defending champion, Flex Lewis,
Front double bicep.
is in his spot in the center, adorned by Kamal to his left and Derek to his right.
Front lat
Jose
spread.
Raymond on the far left and Ahmad Ashkenani on the far right.
Aesthetically speaking,
Side chest.
Derek Lunsford has the best looking structure. But again, it's a little raw, needs a little bit better condition, needs a little more muscle maturity. Flex is owning this lineup right now.
Back double bicep.
Jose's not where he needs to be, especially throughout the midsection. And again, Ashkenani's missing a little bit of detail in the hamstrings and the front quadriceps, which then leaves us with only 3 guys up there that this show is going to come down to. And Kamal is obviously the most conditioned, I believe, out of all of them.
At this point, is there any question in your mind who's going to win this competition?
Side tricep.
I'm going to reserve that for the open class. This one right now, I got Flex Lewis winning this competition, going away into retirement by the quality of his muscle.
Donalds and thighs.
There's just enough things right about that physique, about that look, about what he was able to bring this stage as the defending champion. It's going to be tough for him to be defeated, but you can see what's to like
Your
about
favorite, most muscular.
Derek and Kamal. Their physiques are tremendous, and just a little tweaking, a little fine tuning, this competition could have gone another way, but Flex Lewis, as they say, did what he had to do.
Absolutely. Well, the thing about it is that, okay, then there's second and third.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Kamal's
Back to
making
you,
a very
Bob.
strong case to being the runner-up. Structurally, Derek has a better, more aesthetic, pleasing physique, especially in the lower quads.
All right, well, here we go. It's the final pose down in the career of Jose Raymond, and of course, one of the first in the young career of Derek Lunsford as his career continues to skyrocket. Flex Lewis has moved away from the pack on his own as the tradition of the defending champ. He will ask the other four to chase him around the stage as you used to do so often, Sean Ray, back in the day.
Yeah, following the champ's not always the best thing to do when you find your own real estate, but Derek feels like maybe this is the last opportunity while Ahmad Ashkanani is establishing himself as an individual here.
I do want to say, Kamal Agarni from Libya, he should be incredibly proud of what he has brought. He is a star was born this weekend. He's an exceptional bodybuilder. A good case could be made that he did everything that he had to do. The question is, on a night where the defending champ came in looking the way he did, creates a difficult dynamic for him to get over the top. But he is a big-time superstar now in this division. And when this show is over, he has to be on any list of contenders now going into next year.
Absolutely. And Derek is holding his own on that back double bicep next to Flex Lewis because they're both relatively in the same kind of condition. Derek needs a little bit more upper pecs and he can use some more biceps as well. But Kamal is holding his own and represented very good here tonight, while I think Jose Raymond is going to probably wind up in fifth.
And by the way, as we talk about Jose Raymond's final contest, Flex Lewis has said he's not going to compete for a while, and there's no promises, there's no guarantees that he competes again. He has said he's going to walk away, he's going to catch his breath, he's going to reassess all aspects of his life. So
sometimes walking away, Dan, or take a break, take a year up, it might be the best thing for him.
Sure. So at the very least, we know we're not going to see Flex Lewis for quite some time.
I won't be surprised if we don't see him here next year if the timing's right, because he can wind up in the top 6 of Olympia, Dan. And that might be just enough appeal to do it one more time before you walk away. It's hard to make a comeback. So if you're going to ever do it, you want to do the Open, he could come and do the Open next year, and he could be in the top 6.
The fifth place award representing Midway Labs, his vice president, Ms. Catherine Colley.
Well, Sean Ray, here we
Please
go.
take the fifth place award, the check for $3,000, and presented to Jose Raymond.
All right, so in his final appearance ever on a bodybuilding stage, he goes out in the top 5. You can say he's gone out on his own terms, a very formidable, a very respectable showing, and you can be sure those two have had more than their share of battles. There is a tremendous friendship, a tremendous amount of respect between Flex Lewis and Jose Raymond. Tonight's 5th place finisher here at the Olympia 212.
Absolutely, he commands respect just from the journey that he's been on. We all know how hard it is year after year to do this, Dan. And these athletes know that Jose's done it better than anybody else.
Presenting the fourth place award representing Muscle Tech is Ms. Nicole Ariello. Please take the fourth place award, the check for $5,000 to our fourth place finisher, Ahmad Ashkanani.
Well, last year's runner-up falls to 4th this year in 2018, and you can be sure this was not what he came here for. He was not pleased with the way it went last night, and quite frankly, I'm sure he's not pleased with this outcome, but he's taking it with a degree of class and respect, and you got to appreciate that. Ahmad Ashkanani is not going anywhere. He will be a factor in this division for the years to come. But for this year, he's going to have to settle Sean Ray for 4th place.
He's class all the way. And trust me, he knows who he's losing to on this stage, and they can all take turns at one time or another. But unfortunately, you got to peak on the night, on the day, and it didn't happen for him tonight.
Welcome back from Midway Labs, Miss Catherine Colley.
This second and third is going to be an interesting call out, Dan, because of course we know Derek is coming up from the rear view in terms of his youth, but Kamal is one of those guys that's going to be an interesting read in the future.
Please take the 3rd place award, the Olympia bronze medal, the check for $10,000, and presented to Kamal Algarni.
All right, Kamal Algarni, one of the big stories of the weekend from Libya. He takes the 3rd place medal, and you can be sure he did everything that he could to make his case. I know a lot of his fans, a lot of fans around the world have been extremely impressed by what he presented, by what he delivered here at this competition.
As am I. The condition is what got him there. Doesn't have the most pleasing physique, but again, we know how hard it is, Dan, to get ripped up and hold it and peak on the day. And sometimes guys that can do that to put their name on that final list.
Presenting the 2nd place award, Mr. Zach Ziegler, Executive Editor of Muscle and Fitness Magazine. Please take the 2nd place award, the Olympia Silver Medal, the check for $19,000 to our runner-up this evening, Derek Lunsford.
All right, Derek Lunsford is going to take 2nd place. Sean Ray, a big showing for this young man who was kind of burst onto the scene last year. He stuck his claim to what's clearly a fast track to success, and here he is a year later. And the only thing that stood in the way of Derek Lunsford winning this title was one of the all-time greats, Flex Lewis. So tip your cap to Derek Lunsford. He is your 2nd place finisher here at the 2008 Olympia 212 competition.
We saw him coming a year ago. This is only his 2nd Olympia showdown, and with that being said, the future looks mighty bright for this kid. A year from now, Dan, we can see him wearing
the 1st
an
place
experience
award,
that James
Catherine
Flex Lewis
Colley
is going to be
and Pro League
experiencing shortly.
Mr. Jim Mannion. And please take
Derek is paying
the
attention.
1st place
Trust me.
award, the Olympia Gold Medal. The 1st place check for $40,000. And the title of 2018 212 Olympia champion and 7-time Olympia champion, Flex Lewis.
Oh, there it is, the pride of Wales at 34 years. He has won 7 titles here in the Olympia 212. He said coming into the year he wanted to win 7 because his idol Arnold Schwarzenegger did just that. He wanted to equal that number, and he wanted to exit this division on his own terms as a champion, and he has done just that. He wins this competition for his family. He wins this competition for his family and friends and fans back at home in Wales, and he wins this competition because he is the greatest under 212 competitor of all time. We're back after the break. Flex Lewis has just been announced the winner of the 212 competition, the Olympia 212. He is the champion for the 7th consecutive year. Dan Solomon along with Sean Ray. It has been a privilege to call a very competitive, a very impressive 212 lineup. And Sean, I'd love to get your take on the history that was just made by James Flex Lewis.
Well, I can tell you, Dan, categorically, James has nothing to prove to anybody. He's already proven it, and Bob will interview him now.
All right, here with the now 7-time Olympia champion, Flex. I know those are words you've been waiting to hear all year. You announced some time ago, Flex, that this was going to be it for you. You were calling it a day on the 212 Olympia stage, and no better way to go out with your 7th title.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, this year has been one of the most memorable preps to date. And it hasn't been without its ups and downs. You know, as a champion, I'm big enough to admit that, you know, I've fallen many times and I've learned from every one of my mistakes. And this year, you know, it's taught me a lot about personal growth, about, you know, just representing what this medal around my neck really means. And when I really put my head into this prep, thanks to a lot of people in this room, you know, I trained for that #1 spot, and I came here to defend, set the record, equal my all-time, you know, greatest inspiration, Arnold Schwarzenegger's record. And I've done it. I've done it. You know, I'm a kid from Wales who had a dream. And that dream was to be on this Olympia stage. I know I'm here. I sacrificed so much to be here. And again, everything in life, if you want something, you've got to go for it. I left my family in Wales to come to America, slept on a sofa, all to pursue this dream. I know this dream is a reality. And again, like I said, I've fallen many times, but I've gone back up, I've dusted myself off, and I've learned from my mistakes so I can be a better person, a better human. And now I can say that I am the American dream. The American dream is alive. I'm living it.
All right, Flex, well, no better way to go out. Your buddy Jose just did it earlier. We're going to give you the same opportunity. You're going to stay right here, center circle, my friend. Oh, you got more to say. Okay. It's a 3-hour show, Flex.
My last show. I want to say thank you so much for the IFBB Pro League to giving me this opportunity to do what I do, travel around the world, represent as a champion to each and every one of you. I want to thank each and every one of these judges who have represented and stood in front of me and judged me, again, all around the world, including the Olympias. Special thanks to the Mannion family, Steve Weinberger, and also my coach, Neil Hill, of 16 years. This guy believed in me from my very first show, and I am where I am because of that man. And again, living the American dream, I've achieved so much through bodybuilding to now have an amazing house, an amazing life, a beautiful family, all through bodybuilding. Again, guys, believe to achieve, dream big. Don't let anybody talk you out of your goals and your dreams. I was told more times that I'd never do this than I did. You have to believe and surround yourself with the people that are there for you, because my team around me have been there for years. Again, I want to leave this stage by saying one last thing. Each and every one of you fans, guys, you do not believe how much you motivate me. I know that sounds cliche, but it isn't. You've got me out of the hardest ruts, through the hardest training sessions, the messages that you give me. I've put it all into this 7th title right here. From me to you, thank you so much, guys. Seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet for one of the greatest champions of all time, 7-time Olympia champion, Flex Lewis.
Well, Sean Ray, they say the Olympia is about the moments, and Flex Lewis just gave us a moment we won't soon forget. It's not every day we hear a 34-year-old talk about walking away from the stage. So I guess it remains to be seen, but his message to the fans, I think, was well received, because I know I have a son in that audience tonight, and those are the types of things that you want these champions to teach and to inspire. And Flex Lewis, you have inspired a lot of people around the world tonight, and congratulations on your 7th and apparently final title.
Living the American dream. We come back to the Open finalists, Dan, and this is where the rubber's about to hit the road.
This is it, folks, the last comparison for the title of Mr. Olympia. Let's send it down to the table. Big Steve.
Thank you, Bob. Phil and Brandon, switch, please. Rolly and William, switch, please. Gentlemen, spread out and hit a front double bicep.
All right, the last time these guys will be compared, history will be made one way or the
Front
other. You
lap
cannot
spread.
stop progress. Phil will either win or he will not. And either way, it will be a historic moment by the time Steve Weinberger is done with these final comparisons.
Side chest.
One side note, that is Brandon's soul brother #1, Curry, that is in that top 5 call-outs. A very unfamiliar place, but well-deserved. By
Back
taking
double
out
bicep.
several big names, including Cedric McMillan and Dexter Jackson and Big Ramy. We now see Brandon Curry making his first ever appearance in the top 5 of a Mr. Olympia
Spread
lineup.
out, guys. Everyone take a step.
Phil directing traffic up there, making sure
Back double
there's
bicep.
plenty of room.
Hit.
That's a veteran, especially when you got $400,000 on the line and an 8th Sandow trophy you're fighting for. You want to have plenty of space, Dan, on that stage. And right now, they all are serious.
Sean, I'm going to just ask you this one question. Has anything changed in the way you see this competition from last night
go,
to
guys.
right now?
Man, this is coming down to the wire, because again, we counted the poses, and if we're going numerically on the poses, Sean Roden slightly edges out. But
Side
again,
tricep.
Phil's signature poses are carrying him in this dogfight right here, but it's hard for me to stop looking at what Roden is presenting on that stage here tonight. I've only witnessed, Dan, personally, one upset on this Olympia platform, and that was back in 2008. when
Abdominals
Dexter
and
Jackson
thighs.
took out the reigning defending champion in the form of Jay Cutler. Now, that case was 10 years ago. And if it happens again here tonight, the question will remain, if Phil gets beat, does he come back next year to try to make history? That's going to be the bigger question.
We know what happens. We saw Jay Cutler defeat Ronnie Coleman.
Your
We've
favorite,
seen
most muscular.
Dexter Jackson defeat Jay Cutler.
We saw Lee Haney beat Samir Badu in 1984.
And we saw Phil Heath defeat Jay Cutler. We've seen this story play out, so history suggests that it can happen. That's an impressive pose by the champion, Phil Heath. Right now, I'd like to see Sean Roden fighting a little bit harder at this point, but
I think Sean's done enough, bro. I mean, I'm looking at this in real time, and I got Sean Roden right now with a very narrow, very tight upset in this contest.
well, here it is. Apparently, if the fans in the audience have something to say about it, Ruli Winkler is their Olympia champion, but Phil Heath from Arvada, Colorado is here. He's trying to win the title for the 8th time, and as you mentioned, a tremendous showing for Brandon Curry, who continues to quietly and slowly move into the top group. Sean Roden and
Phil's dragging Sean to hit his favorite pose, and Sean is playing into that. Sean should turn around right now and hit an abdominal and thigh shot while Phil hits his favorite pose, which is his back shot.
Sean, is anything happening right now that will influence the outcome of this competition?
Those judges right now are just double checking to make sure that they've done their due diligence, which I can appreciate. And these guys are entertaining us while the judges are doing what they've done. This thing is being judged right now. And I gotta tell you, if you're gonna give Sean Roden the title of Mr. Olympia, you better make sure that you dot the I and cross the T's. But I can tell you, he would be worthy of that recognition should they decide to
And
go
they
that
are
route.
chasing the champ. Phil Heath moves to the left side of the stage, as does the rest of the pack. William Bonac, again, another tremendous Olympia appearance. It won't be good enough to win, but it was good enough to remain among the very best on the planet.
Phil is very smart in showing his back during all of these poses. That's his #1 pose. It's how this show's won and lost. He won this contest last year on those back shots, and he could do enough to win it here again tonight. So this show is still up for grabs as we come to the wire.
In a few moments, we will see history. Either an 8th Sandow for Phil Heath or the crowning of the 14th winner of this contest. So the feeling in the arena is palpable. There's a lot of intensity, and people know that this thing is very much up for grabs.
I can tell you on the look on Phil's face, he's struggling, Dan, and he does not look as supremely confident as he did in prior victories.
Sean, I can't remember the last time at this very moment that we were as unclear as we are right now.
We're both witnessing history, like you said, one way or the other.
Place award representing DPI Sports is COO, Mr. Chris McKenzie. Please take the 5th place award, the 5th place check for $45,000, and present it to Brandon Curry.
All right, another strong Olympia for Brandon
Absolutely.
Curry, and he moves into the top 5, which means he is now qualified for the 2019 Mr. Olympia. He'll pick up a nice check, and also he will command the status and the respect that comes with being in this very exclusive club.
He's probably had the hardest run of them all with 4 kids running around, long times away from the family over there at Oxygen Gym. This is the best he's ever done in this show, and I'm sure we'll see more in the future.
Presenting the 4th place award representing MHP is CEO Gerard Zente.
This will be interesting, Dan. Rolly and William did not stand next to each other and get compared.
Looking in the eyes of the
Please
champion,
take the
gotta
4th
wonder
place
what he's
award,
thinking
the
right
4th
now.
place check
But first,
for
let's hear who finishes
$55,000.
4th place.
And present it to William the Conqueror Bonac.
As predicted yesterday, Dan, I thought he came in a little heavy. He dropped 1 notch, which is not a slap in anybody's face, but he's a little too heavy on this stage. If he dries up a little bit more, drops a little bit of weight, and that's hard to say, I think he'll streamline this physique and be right back in the hunt again. But right now, he's remaining in the top 4, and he came off an Arnold Classic Championship. That's not an easy thing to do, and a year ago, he didn't have to deal with that.
And then there were the top 3 bodybuilders on the planet. Phil Heath, Willie Winkler, and Sean Roden await the announcement of 3rd place.
Rolly is in a very unfamiliar
Presenting the 3rd
position
place award representing Olympia
at this moment.
is Kevin K. Please take the 3rd place award, the Olympia bronze medal, the check for $100,000 to your 3rd place finisher, Rolly Winkler.
All right, Sean Ray, your people's champion is the number 3 bodybuilder in the world. A terrific Olympia showing for Rolly as he continues to fine-tune that massive physique, those freaky proportions, and he has turned it in to what is now one of the top physiques on the planet. Rolly Winkler is your 3rd place finisher.
With $100,000 to show for it, man, that was earned the hard way. Rolly Winkler, very deserving, very popular, and his status and his stock in this industry has just gone up twofold. And then, Dan, there were 2.
If I can please have Sean Roden and Phil Heath on the center line, please.
We've seen this play out before as Phil Heath held off a fast-charging Sean Roden several years back, and now we are going to see the rubber match.
And what's at stake? The runner-up will win $150,000. The winner will win $400,000. And in Olympia tradition, Bob Ciccarello will probably announce the winner.
Name you hear
That's right.
will be your 2018 Mr. Olympia. Presenting the first place award, representing Midway Labs, is Mr. Wilton Kali and Catherine Kali, and our IFBB Pro League President, Mr. Jim Mannion. I will now announce the winner of the 2018 Olympia. Please take the Sandow Trophy, the Olympia Gold Medal, the check for $400,000, and the title of 2018 Mr. Olympia. To our winner and new Olympia champion.
There it is.
It has happened in Las Vegas. For just the 14th time, we have a new Mr. Olympia. The defending champion has been knocked out. Sean Roden is your 2018 Olympia champion. Phil Heath's run, at least for now, will end at 7 in one of the more improbable developments. Phil Heath stands at center stage, congratulating the winner, Sean Roden. And I gotta tell you, Sean Ray, coming into this weekend, there weren't many people that would have ever dared to predict this outcome.
Absolutely, and I wasn't one of those guys that thought that for 2 seconds. However, I talked to a fellow professional bodybuilding friend of mine from Italy, Gianrico Pica, who saw Sean Roden on Wednesday night the day I arrived. He has a show coming up, the Amateur Olympia in Italy next weekend. He said he saw Sean Roden, and Sean Roden was going to win this show. And I looked him in the eye, and I could not believe what he was saying. Sean Roden has accomplished what no other man has in over 10 years.
Our coverage is going to continue after the break. Stick around, guys. We are back, an historic night here in Las Vegas. Sean Roden has just been crowned Mr. Olympia in one of the more improbable developments in the history of this contest. Very few people saw this coming. There was an expectation that some guys would push Phil to the limit. Sean Roden was not on many of those lists, especially after what played out last year where he finished 5th. And here he is, the final man standing, and Phil Heath's run ends at 7, where he will remain tied with the great Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Bob Chick just asked, did the judges get it right? And to a resounding applause, they said yes. I believe Sean's waiting for his kid to come on stage to share the moment. Sean Roden a year ago had a kid, and a couple years ago, I should say, which takes your eye off the prize, and there she is. That dress has got all kinds of stuff on it now, but it's got that gold medal, and
Well,
she'll
let
remember
be
this
an
moment
Olympia
years
moment
to come.
remember. And a reminder, do not put your kids in white when you have Crotan on. I know, sweetie. I feel the same way. Sean Roden, you're the new Mr. Olympia. Wow, what a great fight, Sean. Everybody can see yesterday that you brought it. You brought your A game, and you came here to... What's the matter, sweetie? You want to say something? It's Daddy. Said hi, Daddy.
Hi, Nana.
Guess what? Daddy's Mr. Olympia.
Hi, Nana.
She said congratulations. Here's something you can play with. Look at. Wow, look at that. Isn't that cool? All right, let's talk with the champ. Sean, congratulations, my friend. You have done the unthinkable. You have beaten the great and 7-time Olympia champion, Phil Heath. You believed in yourself. You told everybody you were not messing around. You came here to win, and you are the new Mr. Olympia.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming out and showing support to all these amazing athletes. Jim Mannion, AMI, Steve Weinberger, all these wonderful judges. Thank you guys so much. To my family for making it out here. Man, it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey, and I'm thankful for today. And yes, today that I was able to fight my way. It's something that I believe that I was going to be number 14.
And you are number 14. Only 14 men in history since 1965 have held this title. Some of those great names that you know, of course. And you just beat a hell of a champion in Phil Heath, the 7-time champion. Nobody thought he could be beaten, but you did it.
Yeah, I've been watching Phil since 2012, taking a lot of notes, and I know people might laugh at me when I say that, hey, one day I was going to be Mr. Olympia, but here I am, folks. This was probably my hardest prep ever, but I wanted it so bad. I'm thankful that I'm here.
Well, Sean, look at that standout trophy down there. That's going to look really nice up on that mantle, isn't it?
I haven't even think that far, you know. This past couple of days has just been a roller coaster. You know, I have a great supporting cast, Chris Aceto, Psycho Fitness. My training partner make it to the Olympia for the first time, Stamina. And I'm gonna tell you, man, they beat the crap out of me these past couple of months just to get here. And to all you fans out here for your support, you know, every time I look and I hear someone said Sean is too small, Sean is spending too much time with his family, Sean looked like he's retired, but it's okay. We had a game plan and we stuck to it, and we found our way to come here. I did everything that I possibly could have can to look good in this weekend.
Well, Sean, you certainly did more than look good. You look great, and the judges certainly rewarding that with an Olympia victory. Take me through yesterday. After prejudging, what were your feelings after you stepped off this stage?
To be honest, man, I walked out of here yesterday and I looked at Chris and I said, it's only Friday. You know, I know a lot of people had me, you know, winning or a close second, but I just looked at Chris and said, it's only Friday, Chris. We still have Saturday, let's just focus on today. And that's what we did, one day at a time.
What did you think when you came here tonight for the final, Sean? Did you think you had it? Did you think Phil was going to eat you? We all know Phil comes back better on Saturday, so you knew you had a battle coming up tonight. But what were your feelings? Did you think you had it?
Listen, guys, Phil is no slouch. I've been chasing him since 2012, so I know in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, you know what, he's Mr. Saturday night. He could come in here and he could look his all-time best. But again, I looked at Chris Cedar and Chris said, hey, you know what, Sean? You'll be better than you were yesterday. And if that man believed in me, I'm good.
All right, Sean Roden. Right here in the center, I want you to hit your first pose as your new 2018 Mr. Olympia. I'll have you know that was not easy to get back, Sean.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. 14. I don't even want to use the word lucky. This was earned, Dan, the hard way.
And please help me in celebrating your new Olympia champion, Flexitron, Sean Roden.
Sean Roden, as we've known through the years, is a man of few words. He lets his physique do all the talking. He did just that tonight, and it took 54 years. We have ourselves a 14th champion.
By way of Jamaica, this is a guy that took 7 years off of bodybuilding to take care for his ailing father who passed away, came back, turned pro by winning the North America Championships, and slowly started to serve notice by winning the Arnold Classic over in Spain. Just came out, got second runner-up here, and now he became the Buster Douglas of modern-day bodybuilding by knocking out the reigning defending champion. And here's our top 5 leaderboard from the Mr. Olympia.
Sean Roden wins it. He defeats the defending champion Phil Heath and Willie Winkler. Of course, what we are learning now, William Bonac in 4th and Brandon Curry rounds out the top 5, and we're waiting for those other scores to come in so we can round out the top 10. We might have to wait a little bit later in the program to get that. But first things first, Sean Roden has defeated Phil Heath in a stunning turn of events. Not so stunning if you consider the pace of the show, but stunning when you consider what we walked into as we arrived here in Vegas. There were very few people that ever considered the possibility that Sean Roden, after last year's 5th place finish, was going to come in well above 40 years old and win this competition. But a tremendous event, and we're going to take a quick break.
.com, along with Dan Solomon backstage.
Special night this is. I know you had a plan going back to.
We're going to throw things backstage. Dan Solomon trying to get an audience with our reigning champion for 2018, Sean. Oh, Flex Lewis, our 212.
This gentleman to my right has just been one part of all the history that has been made tonight here at the 2018 Olympia. And Flex Lewis, congratulations. You are the 212 champion once again for the 7th time.
Wow, it's very surreal again. There was an execution plan made 20 weeks out, and of course, my body was telling me at 226, jump on stage. And we just had to rechange the plan, and getting here today hasn't come without its own sacrifice, and from everybody, from the family, all to see me fulfill my dream. My coach Neil Hill doing what he does is absolutely phenomenal, and again, I'm lost for words. I think I left everything up on stage and what I said tonight.
Well, it's unusual at 34 years old that we hear somebody step to center stage and talk about the fact that they are walking away. And you'll have to forgive my skepticism a little bit, because when we look at your physique, when we look at your energy and where you're at in your life, that you have still a lot more to do as a bodybuilder. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that, and I'm going to question this decision. Are you sure now is the time to step away? And give us some clarity on this plan. Are you stepping away from this division? Are you stepping away from the sport? Is there a bigger picture plan that you want to fill us in on?
Well, as you know me, Dan, I always have a plan on things, and I'm all about breaking down barriers and opening new doors. What I've achieved in this sport, you know, as a kid, if I thought about it, it blows my mind, you know, but I dream big. And as a 212 athlete, you'll never hear that name being called out again on stage. But for the future, I think there's going to be definitely a time and a place where I definitely jump back on stage as an open class guy. But it's got to be done right. It's got to be done in the pace that allows me to grow, mature in the right areas without rushing. And that being said, you know, I've got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm ready to open a lot of doors that bodybuilders haven't had the chance to yet. And I've already done that this year. So I'm excited to explore new avenues. Like I said, open doors for the whole fitness industry into what I'm doing, and there's a lot of things that I need to fulfill from the personal standpoint before I even think about opening the door to standing on the open stage.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll let you put a bookmark in your career, at least for now. We're not going to let you off the hook that easily. But I had a son who was in the audience tonight, and when I heard you talk about never giving up on your dreams and inspiring fans really around the world the way you do, that's such a big part of your story. It's such a big part of your message, and you've done such a great job of serving as a tremendous ambassador to the sport. So, Flex, I applaud you for that, and what you are is so much more than a physique. You are somebody that has brought an important message and important energy to a sport that oftentimes needs that positivity.
Yeah, and again, bodybuilders have been given this cliche, right? And when I got into this sport long before I became the champion, I wanted to break that stereotype. And that is still a personal goal of mine. I've broken these barriers, and again, with where I am in life right now, it's about having the mainstream look at a champion with a different mindset and a different eye, and again, representing the sport on stage and off. So the next generation, all these new young blood coming through, I put the bar up high. And again, representing on stage and off is what this medal means, and has done for me long before the medal was around my neck. And aspiring people, the young kids like yourself, and I do live by that motto, dream big, and everybody out there should. Dream big, never give up on your goals, and again, just have that belief that whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve.
And for Flex Lewis, his dreams came true 7 times. Your 2018 under 212 champion. Congratulations, Flex. Well done. We're going to go ahead and bring in somebody else who has just made a bit of history. You know, we give these interviews every year where we get to stand here and talk to the winner of the Mr. Olympia. It's one of the great privileges, one of the great things that I get to do each and every year is talk to the #1 bodybuilder in the world in the moments after an Olympia is settled. And I'm not going to lie to you, Sean, never in a million years did I imagine that I'd be standing here talking to you as the greatest champion. Having said that, when you walked out tonight and what you presented last night and again tonight, it was extraordinary. The fans around the world agreed with the decision. You delivered something remarkable. You bounced back from a year ago where you were off, and you talked about some of those trials and tribulations going into last year's competition. And in one of the more improbable turn of events, you have won a Sandow Trophy. You are the 14th man to do so. So for that, we congratulate you on an extraordinary achievement.
Thank you. It's, wow, haven't sunken in this yet, but it's been a long year from last Olympia. Broken jaw, mouth wired shut, had to eat through a straw, had to blend all my food. Still able to fight my way to the top 5 last year, and I started my prep this year for the Arnold Classic, ended up with 2 bleeding ulcer, and 8 blood transfusion, had to pull out the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to make a statement for this year's Olympia, and when I told people it's going to win the Olympia this year, a lot of people kind of laughed at me because I looked like I was about to be retired. But I have a great coach, Chris Aceto, great training, Psycho Fitness 21, and a training partner that will never let me quit. Plus my family was always like, hey, you know what? Just focus.
Let's get down to brass taxes here. You beat a really good champion tonight. Phil Heath has done remarkably over the last 7 years, winning this title, and he came in very confident this weekend. He thought he had this thing coming into the competition. You were very confident, as we saw from the very early phases of the weekend. You came out here, took care of business. Talk about not what it feels like to be Mr. Olympia. Talk about what it feels like to defeat the great Phil Heath.
You know, I've been on stage with Phil since 2011. It's a great feeling, man, because, again, Phil is no slouch. You have Dexter Jackson, former Mr. Olympia also, that were on stage. And I know these guys are true champion, and they worked their butt off, and everybody was going to come in here firing in all cylinders. So Rolly Winkler and William Bonac moved up the chain this year. One thing that my coach told me is, like, Sean, just stay in your own lane. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Just focus on what you need to do. The only thing that we need to do here for this year Olympia is to bring the best Sean Roden ever. Because if you bring the best Sean Roden ever, it's going to be very hard for anyone to beat you. And I believe.
You're also one of the oldest men to win this competition for the first time. I think Chris Dickerson may have been a year older. How old are you? You put out the number?
I'm 43.
43. I think Chris Dickerson was also 43 when he won the competition. So hopefully some of our historians out there will determine if you are the oldest to actually win the contest for the first time. How many more years?
I'll be back. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, I do want to just put some perspective for you, if I could, before I let you run. The Olympia Winners Club is the most prestigious club in this sport. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sergio Oliva, Dorian Yates, the Ronnie Colemans, Jake Cutlers. You are Phil Heath. You are in that club. No matter what happens for you going forward, no matter what happens to you for the rest of your life, you are forever a Mr. Olympia champion. Pick up that Sandow trophy and show the world what you have just done. Remarkably, extraordinarily, impressively, and well-deserved. Sean Roden, your 2018 Mr. Olympia champion. Any final thoughts before you get out of here and go eat?
Just want to thank my family for putting up with me the last couple of weeks. I miss my family, training in LA. My coach, Chris Aceto and Psycho Fitness. Thank you guys so much for continuing to believe in me when everybody else stopped.
And then there were 14. Sean Roden, congratulations, our newly crowned Olympia champion. I think that's going to wrap things up here from Las Vegas at the Orleans Arena. Our coverage of Joe Weider's Olympia Weekend has now come to an incredible close with the crowning of a new champion. They often say in this sport of bodybuilding, the most memorable nights are the nights where a champion is crowned for the very first time. And Sean Roden, thanks to you, you have given us that moment. For all of us here, we appreciate the hard work of Robin Chang and everybody over at the Olympia production team, our director, Lou Zwick, my co-hosts, Amanda Latona and Hall of Famer Sean Ray. For our newly crowned champion, Sean Roden, I'm Dan Solomon. Good night.
Looks good.